Chapter 842, Vortex. By Zhu frowned at Lu Ying's words. She still couldn't figure out which unknown powerful fissure she might have offended. Perhaps it was just a glance that she had missed. So what should I do to solve this issue? Bai Zhu asked. Somebody has suppressed the fiery aura for you temporarily. I can also help you a bit, but after that, you need to face the trials. Of course, you can also try to find out who's behind this and see if you can convince them otherwise, Lu Ying said. Senior, in your opinion, what are my chances of surviving the trials? Bai Zhu asked. 99% chance of death, said Lu Ying. Bai Zhu nodded. She couldn't face the trials at all. It wasn't fair. The noodle shop owner extended her hand to check Bai Zhu's pulse. Bai Zhu complied. After a while, Lu Ying said, You've probably been targeted for a long time, but the person seems to have paid more attention only recently. Think about what might have attracted their attention. As for facing the trials, there are ways to increase your chances. What ways? Bai Zhu's eyes lit up. I can help you, but you need to do something for me, Lu Ying said. What is it? Bai Zhu asked. She understood that she would need to give something in exchange. Since she was here, she was prepared to make sacrifices, especially when her life was at stake. Do you know anyone from the Heavenly Spirit tribe? Lu Ying asked. Yes. Bai Zhu nodded. Do you have a way to communicate with them? It should be possible, said Qiao Yi. I need you to enter the Heavenly Spirit tribe and find a book for me, Lu Ying said calmly. This book contains information about the Saint Bandits. I want to know the location of a person. How is that possible? Qiao Yi shook her head. The present books in the Heavenly Spirit tribe don't have any information on Saint Bandits. There's a book. You just can't find it easily. I can tell you the location, and you can go and get it. If you still can't find the book after that, then this deal can end here, Lu Ying said. What book is it? Bai Zhu asked. I can't tell you, but it's enough for you to get it without knowing about it. Once you have it, don't open it. Just deliver it to me, Lu Ying said. Bai Zhu thought for a moment. She felt that infiltrating the Heavenly Spirit tribe wasn't that risky. So, she agreed. Even if there were dangers, she had to go. However, it was a pity not to be able to read the book on Saint Bandits. It'll tell you how to increase the chance of surviving your trials, Lu Ying said and looked outside. A person is arriving at the vast land of the West. They have a powerful aura and are favored by heaven and earth. Find her. Even if you can't get too close to her, ITLL still increase your chances. If you do, the person behind you will stop too. The rest depends on yourself. Bai Zhu nodded. Then, she asked about the person she must find. The answer was expected. She had to find the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. Bai Zhu was surprised. I probably won't be able to find her. You know a lot more than you let on. Don't worry. You'll find her. The methods of the Bright Moon sect are powerful, but your condition is also unique. You'll be able to find her, said Lu Ying. Which direction should I go in? Any direction. Go where your luck takes you. As soon as you set foot outside the city, your luck will guide you. Bai Zhu felt that the blessing she had received was extraordinary. I heard that this city was the former site of the Astronomical Academy. Is it true? Yes. There are many opportunities here. Whatever you find is meant for you, Lu Ying said. Why did the Astronomical Academy suddenly relocate? This time, Bai Zhu didn't get an answer. It seemed that there might have been a big change that had forced the Academy to relocate. Lu Ying finally said, Go. I've told you enough. Bai Zhu left reluctantly. She had learned quite a bit just by sitting here. She ignored her condition. She needed to find out more about the Sea-Sky Forest. The changes there had already begun. A great catastrophe was coming. Also, the leader of the end of all things seemed to have been forced into the sea of nothingness. The end of all things, the fallen immortal clan, and the corpse clan all had beef with the Astronomical Academy. The waitress watched the two people leave. Boss, do you really not know who is targeting her? What do you think of her? The chef asked. I think she's a good person, said the waitress. She's very complicated, and I don't want to get involved too deeply. Despite her young age, the people she knows and the things she has to deal with, they're extraordinary. Otherwise, why would she be valued by that person? Unfortunately, she doesn't remember when she had tried to spy on him. Lu Ying walked into the kitchen. The waitress sighed. There are not many people in the restaurant now. Bai Zhu left with Qiao Yi. She looked up at the sky. She wondered which direction she should head in. She just wanted to find the one with the heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. She had no choice but to find her. Princess, who did you offend? Qiao Yi asked anxiously. I don't know, but that chef definitely knows. She just doesn't want to tell me, Bai Zhu said confidently. Why do you say that? Qiao Yi asked. She knew Gu Jin the moment he appeared in the Western Vortex. Not many people can enter the vortex. She knows about the sea-sky forest, Gu Jin, and the one with the heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. It only stands to reason that she knows who is doing this to me. She probably has her reasons for not wanting to tell me, Bai Zhu said. Qiao Yi found that all those travels alone had made Bai Zhu wise. She wasn't just a naive, young woman. What should we do then? I don't know. First, let's find the one with the heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. If everything goes smoothly, I will probably be fine. After all, the chef wants us to do something for her. Qiao Yi thought about it. If Bai Zhu turned out okay, they would need to visit the Heavenly Spirit Tribe. That place was not safe. Let's talk about that later. There is no deadline, so we could take it slowly. No need to rush. Bai Zhu now knew she had a chance to survive. She didn't want to fret about the future. Jiang Hao walked out of the noodle shop, but didn't intend to leave the ancient city. He wanted to explore it. Perhaps he could find some clue. However, the words of the chef intrigued him. On the way, he asked Hong Ye, Sr., will we really meet someone powerful? If he was correct, this powerful someone was most probably a corpse. The unexpected incident in the sea-sky forest had happened, and now they needed to wait for the impact. Not we. You, said Hong Ye. Chapter 843. The clean stone tablet. Jiang Hao froze when she said that. He had no chance of winning while facing the sea-sky forest. It was a weapon used by the end of all things against the West. Dealing with the West was difficult even at the Immortal Ascension platform. The West wasn't like the South. Here, there were many major immortal sections. Even if the Astronomical Academy was weaker now, due to the incident with the Earth Extreme Heavenly Pearl, it was still incomparable to the South. The faith of the end of all things in destroying the world was on the corpse. No matter how strong Jiang Hao was, he couldn't possibly face the corpse. He didn't know if he could even escape. Senior, I'm just a small golden core realm cultivator. I won't be any use to you if I face a powerful individual, said Jiang Hao. Hong Ye glanced at him and chuckled. It seems that you're fated to meet unlucky things. Whether it's the vortex or something else, you can't escape it. Jiang Hao was stunned. It wasn't until then that he remembered the corpse was also something of ill luck. Everything he had encountered was indeed bad luck. The Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, and the Cursed Tree were all similar. They were a bad omen, but he didn't seek them out. The good things had long been taken away, while bad things found him wherever he went. It did seem he was fated to encounter ill luck everywhere. Jiang Hao sighed inwardly and looked up at the sky. He didn't see any vortex. What are you looking at? Hong Ye walked on the small path by the street. I want to see what the aura vortex looks like, Jiang Hao said. No matter how he looked at it, he couldn't sense anything. With the Heaven Lock technique and the Nameless Manual, he should have been able to sense a lot of things. But he still couldn't sense any vortex affecting the West. Gu Jin not only had given him an identity, but also his luck. I am me, and yet I am not me. Jiang Hao didn't think too much about it. He needed to first understand the situation of the sea-sky forest. Now that he was recognized as Gu Jin in the West, he couldn't use any other identity, especially not that of Smiling Sansheng. If he did, it would only attract trouble. Everyone would then associate Smiling Sansheng with Gu Jin. It would be troublesome in the future. After that, he began to look around. He glanced inside as he passed by an alley. He found a stone tablet deep inside. This stone tablet radiated a vast aura. Senior, do you want to go in and take a look? Jiang Hao asked. Hong Ye spared a glance and then stepped into the alley. There were some people drinking tea there. No one paid attention to the stone tablet. Jiang Hao walked to the stone tablet and examined it carefully. He found that there were some words on it, Sage's Pages. These are pages left by the ancestors of the Astronomical Academy. At that moment, a middle-aged man appeared next to Jiang Hao. He carried a sword, and his outfit was messy. He seemed like a wandering swordsman. He was an ordinary person. This man had a strange aura. It was neither spiritual nor immortal. It was just an ordinary. He had the aura of a martial artist. "Senior, who are you?" Jiang Hao asked politely. "Just a wandering swordsman," the middle-aged man smiled. "Do you know a lot about this stone tablet?" Jiang Hao asked curiously. He only knew that there were rumors about the Sage's Pages, but he didn't know much about it. These were left by the Astronomical Academy. It's said to be the immortal fate written by the ancestors of the Academy. The stone tablet is placed here, and those with immortal fate can naturally see more things in it. However, over the years, no one has seen the content of it. Immortal fate from the Astronomical Academy. Jiang Hao was surprised. He hadn't expected it to be placed in a place like this. Yes, the Astronomical Academy is a place of immortals and a place where immortals go on pilgrimage. It is said that this is the former immortal residence, the middle-aged man said with a smile. It seemed that he didn't believe much in these things. "Senior, are you a swordsman?" Jiang Hao asked. The middle-aged man shook his head. "I learned a bit of swordsmanship, but I can't be considered a swordsman. I'm from here and just wanted to see the so-called immortal fate. But after watching for a few days, I found nothing. Perhaps everything is fake, or maybe I don't have an immortal fate." Jiang Hao nodded. Countless people desired immortal fate, but in the end, only a few could embark on this path. A sect recruited many disciples. There were talents gathered from various places. Among these people, the vast majority would remain at the lifeblood refinement realm. After that, they would begin the selection process based on talent, opportunities, and personality. Among the several recruitments, only one person managed to reach the return to Void Realm. It showed how difficult the cultivation path was. After that, Jiang Hao went to the back of the stone tablet. He tried to sense it, but found nothing. But he knew that stone tablet was definitely not simple. However, no matter how he looked, there was no clue. It's really something that depends on fate. Jiang Hao couldn't help but sigh. He used his fingers to wipe it spotless. He sighed even more. Each stone tablet here has been wiped clean. "It's to show respect to the ancestors of the Academy," said the middle-aged man. "Hasn't any been left untouched?" Jiang Hao asked. "There's one. It's said to be a traitor to the Academy." "A traitor?" Jiang Hao was curious. "Invite me for a drink, and I'll take you there." The middle-aged swordsman smiled. "Of course." Jiang Hao nodded. In fact, he wasn't in a hurry to wipe the stone tablet. He just wanted to explore. Outside the ancient city, a burly man sighed. "It took so long. I finally arrived here." "Mr. Tao, why did you insist on coming to the ancient city?" Zhu Shan was curious. He radiated a restrained, divine light. Standing in front of him was the sturdy Mr. Tao, who appeared ragged but looked scholarly. "Mr. Tao, there must be a meaning to this, right?" asked Tanya. She was assigned the job of guarding him. Mr. Tao smiled. "Yes. Since you follow me here, you probably already know. Is this your first time here? Do you know much about this place?" Zhu Shan asked. "I've heard about it." Mr. Tao walked ahead. "Could it be?" Zhu Shan was deep in thought. "Let's go and see," Mr. Tao said. "Every time it's the same thing. It's better not to listen to you." "Every day is a riddle," said Tanya in annoyance. "This time, you didn't have to come. It's you who insisted on following us," Zhu Shan said. "I have never visited the West before. Naturally, I would be curious. Besides, the Astronomical Academy used to be the Master's sect. It's only right to come and see it for myself," said Tanya. Mr. Tao chuckled. "It is said that there is an immortal fate here. Perhaps it will be beneficial for us too." Chapter 844. Missed opportunity. Mr. Tao and his two companions walked inside. On the way, they saw many storefronts. It felt different here compared to overseas. This place was full of ordinary non-cultivators. Everything felt lively. It's hard to imagine that near the Astronomical Academy, there's still a place like this, Mr. Zhu sighed. "I feel like the things over there are pretty delicious. Should we try them?" Tanya asked. Let's go buy some. I'm sure they're good. Mr. Tao smiled. Annie Chow, should we eat something delicious? I've been eating noodles for months, and there are pancakes over there. Let's go try them, said Baiju. All right, they'll buy it for you, said Xiaoyi. No, let me go. They'll pick something delicious, Baiju said with a smile. They went to the pancake stall, right when Tanya did so. In front of the stall, Baiju looked at Tanya and said with a smile, Senior, you don't seem to be from around here. Baiju displayed an early-stage golden core realm, while Tanya was in the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. Yeah, I'm from out of town. Tanya nodded. I feel like you're a bit dangerous. Are you hiding your cultivation realm? Why would you say that? Baiju asked in shock. Because many people like to hide their cultivation realm here and beat around the bush. They often speak in riddles. Do you like riddles? Tanya asked. I'm very straightforward. I never speak in riddles. Baiju smiled. I don't like that either. They always say I'm too straightforward, and he'll suffer because of it sooner or later, Tanya said. Just because you don't like riddles doesn't mean you aren't smart. It has nothing to do with whether you suffer, said Baiju. Tanya looked surprised. Exactly. They just don't understand. The two of them talked for a long while. After buying the pancakes, they reluctantly parted ways. Baiju walked away with Xiao Yi. Do you intend to use her for something, princess? Asked Xiao Yi. No. I just met her and felt a connection with her. So, I was talking with her. She's interesting, said Baiju. She ate the pancake. Without thinking much, she went straight outside to find the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. Meanwhile, Tanya met up with the others. I just met a very powerful person, and we had a great chat. She also hates it when people speak in riddles and don't give a straight answer. I told her I'm like that too. Mr. Zhu nodded. Mr. Tao smiled. It's not easy to find someone you can talk to. Who is she? I don't know. After talking for a while, we each went our separate ways, Tanya said. Mr. Tao nodded. He didn't say much and led the people inside. Jiang Hao invited the swordsman for a drink. After that, the swordsman led him deeper into the ancient city. Although they proceeded deeper, the number of people didn't decrease. They increased instead. This is where the sages lived. That's why there are so many people. Everyone wants to come here and pay their respects. The place is special. I heard from some friends that they haven't faced any hardships since they came here. So, they come here every month and burn incense and offerings. Those who stay behind and start a business here are even more respected. Jiang Hao nodded. This place was the former site of the Astronomical Academy. There must be some powerful force at play here that ordinary people couldn't understand. A blessing left by an immortal sect was more than enough to shelter these people. So, that traitor, people hate him. No one bothers to clean that place where his stone tablet is, said the middle-aged swordsman. Jiang Hao could understand, but he was curious about the traitor. What's his name? I don't know. The middle-aged swordsman shook his head. It seems like no one here knows his name. Even if they knew it, they wouldn't speak of him. The people want others to know he was a traitor, but they don't want others to remember him or his name. Why? Jiang Hao was surprised. Because they want him to disappear from history. If his name is passed down, wouldn't it be easy for the traitor to be remembered? The middle-aged swordsman laughed. Anyway, that's what I heard. For a while, Jiang Hao didn't know if it was right to do that or not. He nodded to show that he was paying attention. After a short time, the three of them arrived in an alley close to the statue of the sage. This is it. The middle-aged swordsman sighed. The affinity with immortals is hard to find. What do you think it feels like for an immortal to stand this high? In this lifetime, if I can at least fly, I want to have lived my life in vain. If you do that, do you think your ambitions will also be higher? Jiang Hao asked. He saw that the place was mentioned pretty nicely. He wasn't sure how it would be inside. Yes, said the middle-aged swordsman firmly. I am a greedy person. How about you? My ambitions? Jiang Hao thought for a moment. I just want to live a peaceful life. Han Yue glanced at Jiang Hao, but didn't say anything. Is your life not peaceful right now? Asked the middle-aged swordsman. Jiang Hao sighed wearily. I can't help it. Everything happens out of my control. In this world, many people had it worse than him. He couldn't even help them. Although he had no worries about food and a roof over his head, he still lived in constant danger. He always had a struggle. Why is it so clean here? The middle-aged man was a bit surprised. He found that this place had been cleaned recently. Maybe someone was here. Jiang Hao frowned. He did feel that there were people inside. But who would suddenly come to clean a place that is dedicated to a traitor? Said the middle-aged man in confusion. Let's go in and find out, Jiang Hao said calmly. They walked inside. The place was indeed clean moments before. Jiang Hao had a bad feeling about it. Someone had seized the chance to clean it, and with that, the reward of bubbles. They saw a young woman standing in front of the stone tomb and wiping away at the stone tablet. She was halfway done. This stone monument radiated a majestic aura. The dirt on it was thick. There would surely be many rewards for cleaning it. Jiang Hao had missed his chance. He felt uneasy. There were two men with the woman. It was Mr. Tao and his companions. Jiang Hao had seen them before. Are you also here to try your luck? Asked Mr. Tao as he looked at the new people who had arrived. Although this place was the trader's location, people would always try their luck here if there was something to be gained. They would silently and secretly try to get the gains. If not, they would pretend to scorn the trader. There's nothing to lose either way. Cleaning at this, you might have to face some challenges from others, said the middle-aged man. Well, you never know unless you try. Do you want to give it a try? Mr. Tao asked politely. Jiang Hao was eager to try, but Hong Yuye moved to his side. Jiang Hao was worried about the white bubbles. If he only obtained white bubbles, others would naturally detect it. His heart sank. In the past, he would have gone for it one way or another. He decided to let it go. Forget it. He sighed. Chapter 845. There is no end to knowledge. The changes were completely unexpected for Jiang Hao. According to the swordsman, no one had cleaned this place in many years. Leaving it dirty for another day wouldn't have been a problem. Unfortunately, someone had taken away his chance the moment he had reached here. However, he knew who the traitor was. Master of the Heavenly Tower. The person who could make all 12 heavenly kings fear and respect him. He was a person who had emerged from the abyssal sea. Looking at the three people, Jiang Hao felt a mix of emotions. Back when he had traveled with Hong Yuye, he had met them briefly. He didn't know if they recognized him. He had used another appearance before. This time, he traveled as himself. With Hong Yuye there, they might not recognize him. If Baizhu couldn't recognize him, he didn't think others could. Mr. Tao didn't react. So, Jiang Hao knew he was looking at an unfamiliar face. Is there really an opportunity here? Jiang Hao asked. He looked at the dirt and wanted to wipe it with a piece of cloth. There is. Tang Yin nodded. I can feel that this stone monument is not simple. The middle-aged swordsman was astonished. Why can't I feel it then? Your eyes aren't as sharp as mine, Tang Yin said while wiping away the dirt. Jiang Hao looked at the stone monument and found that it wasn't inscribed with the sage's pages. However, it had some words at the front. There is no end to knowledge. There is no end to knowledge. This was left behind by that gentleman. It was said that he had great knowledge about everything, more than anyone in the Astronomical Academy. He knew many things, but his cultivation and talent weren't as great as those elders who reside in the backyard of the academy. Mr. Tao sighed. Jiang Hao didn't care about that. He just wanted to add some more words to the phrase. The journey of this man was extremely difficult. With his talent, he wouldn't have reached such a high position, let alone become a renowned scholar in the academy, Zhu Shen said with respect. I wonder when he came here. The middle-aged swordsman wanted to say, isn't this the traitor everyone hates? But he couldn't say it aloud. He saw that the other two admired and respected this person. So, he didn't want to say something inappropriate. Jiang Hao didn't pay much attention to Mr. Tao and the others. The path of a strong cultivator was never easy. Jiang Hao sighed and took out his pen. Can I add some more words to that phrase? Feel free to do so, friend. Mr. Tao smiled. We are just visitors and don't imo the rules here. This place seems like it is never cleaned. It should be fine. Jiang Hao nodded and then stood quietly in front of the stone monument. He didn't care if others saw his writing. His handwriting wasn't really that bad. Others nearby were watching him. They were curious about what this person would leave behind. Hong Yuye felt the same. Jiang Hao didn't care about these people or their opinions. So, he wasn't afraid, even if he embarrassed himself by doing this. He just wanted to leave a mark on the stone monument. That was it. He didn't know if what he wrote would be in accordance with whoever had written down the words here. After a while, Jiang Hao put away his pen and ink. Tanya looked at the stone monument. There is a path to the mountain of books, but there is no end to learning. Let's go. Jiang Hao turned around and looked at Hong Yuya. She nodded and followed him. Mr. Tao looked at the writing with some emotion. For a moment, he understood how such a person could reach great heights. Apart from them, the person who felt the impact of it most deeply was the middle-aged swordsman. He recognized the words and understood the meaning of the sentence. He got teary-eyed without even knowing. Since childhood, he had used the sword and had wanted to become a swordsman. Unfortunately, whenever he felt hardships, he felt like giving up. Even if he wanted to continue forward, he would slack off in his practice. He had neither talent nor discipline. Having achieved nothing significant, he felt that he had rejected opportunities that were right in front of him. He knew he lacked real talent and knowledge, so he didn't dare accept rewards and opportunities. He hadn't felt bitter before, but now this simple phrase had opened a dam in him. He felt ashamed. It's too late, really too late. He was over 40. He didn't think he could continue wielding his word. He could only carry it by his side as a decoration. Then, people would occasionally invite him out to drinks just because he had little knowledge about things. Senior. Suddenly, someone interrupted his thoughts. He saw the young man looking back at him. Are you calling me? The middle-aged swordsman looked puzzled. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Senior, do you still remember your wish? My wish. The middle-aged swordsman was confused. Yes. You said you wanted to fly, said Jiang Hao. The middle-aged swordsman smiled. Indeed, I did say that. Take the sword off your back and place it on the ground, Jiang Hao said. The swordsman didn't understand him, but still did it. Stand on it, Jiang Hao said. The middle-aged swordsman was puzzled, but his feet were on the sword at the first moment. Follow me, Jiang Hao said softly, and then stepped into the sky. The middle-aged man was stunned. Before he could begin to think, the sword under his feet emitted a sound and then lifted him. He was flying. The wind whistled in his ears, and the streets became smaller. The city was under his feet. He felt a bit frightened, but also excited. He was flying in the air. He saw mountains, rivers, and streams beneath him. In the blink of an eye, it was several miles away. That was a great mountain that would take him a long time to cross on foot. Below, Hong Yuya stood in the alley and looked at the stone monument. The stone monument began to change, and the words written by Jiang Hao were gradually engraved on it. It was as though the monument acknowledged it. In just a few breaths, a complete sentence appeared on the stone monument. There is a path to the mountain of books, but there is no end to learning. Then, a burst of light erupted from it, but no one was interested in it. Only a few people saw it. Did you sense it? Mr. Zhu was surprised. Yes. Mr. Tao nodded. Will you ask him about it? I will. After that, the two turned around but found no one behind. What a pity, Zhu Shin sighed. This is actually good. Mr. Tao smiled. Tanya looked at the two of them and pretended like she hadn't heard their conversation. She continued to wipe away the dirt on the stone monument. After a long time, the middle-aged swordsman stopped in front of city. He had asked to stop here. He felt quite sentimental when he watched Jiang Hao disappear in thin air. So, flying in the air feels like this. He was still a little teary-eyed. He looked at the city gate and sighed softly. I traveled for half my life and didn't turn back. I never thought I would come back here. He entered through the city gate, crossed the street, and finally stayed in front of a dojo. He saw an old man in his 60s teaching people martial arts. The old man looked at the swordsman in anger, but he also looked a bit sad. You still show your face here? The middle-aged man walked to the old man and knelt. Father, I want to properly learn the way of the sword. The old man felt as though he had traveled back in time when a child was kneeling right at the same spot and asking him to teach him swordplay. That child was now a middle-aged man of 40. The old man said what he had said 30 years ago. All right. The middle-aged swordsman knelt lower. He knew that there was a chance to be an immortal in this world, but it wasn't a chance for someone as ordinary and mediocre as him. If he could do so in the future, He wanted to make sure he was worthy of an immortal's fate. Father, is it too late for me to learn the sword at the age of 40? It's not too late. It's just right. Chapter 846. The marriage book. Jiang Hao flew back to the ancient city on his sword. The city was vast, and he still wanted to explore other places. Perhaps there were some hidden places that he could find. After meeting with Hong Yuye at the city gate, they continued to wander around the city. It got dark, and the stars shone brightly in the sky. The moon was up high. Jiang Hao walked out of an alley and walked to the river. The place near the river was lit up. There were many people there. Usually, men and women walked hand in hand. Is there a festival here today? Jiang Hao was curious. Hong Yuye glanced at him, but said nothing. Jiang Hao didn't care. He hadn't researched anything here properly, so he didn't know much. But it was natural to not know the culture of a new place when visiting for the first time. Unfortunately, he hadn't gained anything today. The stone monument had already been cleaned, and he couldn't do anything about it. His only chance was snatched away by Mr. Tao and the others. It was a pity. This river is glowing. Jiang Hao looked at the river in surprise. There was a faint light under the river. The river was lined with houses and stalls on both sides. There were many people walking around. Hong Yuye glanced down at the river. The water here is very clear. Clear? Jiang Hao looked and nodded. Yes, it's really clear. There was spiritual energy inside the water. This place wasn't as simple as it looked. It was as expected of the Astronomical Academy. As they continued to walk forward, they saw another statue. This time, it wasn't a person but a book. There's a statue ahead. Jiang Hao bought 2 pastries at a stall. He wanted to save them for later. 20 spirit stones, the middle-aged seller said. 20. Jiang Hao was surprised. He thought it would only cost 3 to 5 spirit stones. These pastries are for those united forever, said the middle-aged seller. You can't find it outside. United forever? Jiang Hao was surprised. He didn't understand what it meant. The middle-aged hawker looked surprised. Then he thought of something and smiled. Take this thing and go to the book in front to offer it. Something good will happen. Jiang Hao was quite puzzled, especially because the hawker winked at him teasingly. Since you're already here, go and take a look, he said again. Jiang Hao was even more puzzled. After that, he paid the money, accepted the pastries, and walked ahead. Do you want to go and see, senior? He asked. He walked ahead. The more he walked, the more he felt something was wrong. Why were there only couples everywhere? It was only after he walked through this road that he realized this didn't seem to be a place he should be at. Some men and women were standing in front of the statue of a book. They offered pastries in devotion. But he could finally guess the reason. The pastry was called Undying Heart. He stole a glance at Hong Yuye. She looked indifferent. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. Senior, let's go to another place to take a look. It seems that there's nothing special here. Hong Yuye looked at the book and didn't answer. Jiang Hao led the way, and they left. They stayed in the ancient city. Then was mostly filled with ordinary people. Unexpectedly, there was a spiritual energy source inside. Ordinary cultivators couldn't perceive it. Otherwise, they would stay here all the time. It could be somewhat helpful for cultivation, too. Jiang Hao brewed some tea for Hong Yuye in the inn. The tea had cost him 1,500 spirit stones. The two of them also ate the pastries they had bought. What do you think was the purpose of the statue of a book? Hong Yuye suddenly asked. It might be for making some kind of wish, said Jiang Hao. Hong Yuye didn't ask anything else. Jiang Hao said that he wanted to ask around about the sage's pages and left the inn. In the vast room, there was no sound. Even the sound of breathing was barely audible. Suddenly, there was a sound of someone pouring tea into a cup. It was Hong Yuye pouring a cup of tea for herself. She held the teacup in her hands and waited for it to cool a bit. After a short while, she placed the teacup back on the table. She stood up and walked outside. Her steps were slow, and she walked out of the inn. No one noticed her presence, and no one blocked her way. It was as if an invisible force made way for her. She walked aimlessly. Do you think our names will be on the marriage book? Asked a woman. Hong Yuye slowed her pace. There was a man and a woman holding hands. Of course, even the sages will be moved by our sincere prayer. the man said seriously. But my family is against our marriage. What if they don't let me marry you? The woman was worried. The path we walk is together. Those pastries were called undying heart pastries. We offered them to the marriage book with sincerity. Trust me, everything will be okay, said the man. I heard that walking by the river of love means we'll be together for eternity. If that's true, I can truly be happy, said the woman. But if our family doesn't agree with it, let's run away together. The man nodded. All right. Hong Yia watched them and continued walking ahead. After a while, she stopped. Her mind was filled with thoughts. Finally, her red figure disappeared. Meanwhile, Jiang Hao returned to the monument of the great sage. He wanted to see if he could still wipe it. However, there was not even a speck of dust. He tried wiping the monument anyway, but nothing happened. As for the words engraved on it, he didn't care about them anymore. He had missed his opportunity. This trip hadn't gone smoothly for him. Was it because of the vortex? He sighed. Suddenly, he felt a curse approach him. He took out the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. The curse withdrew. However, when it sensed who it was, it surged after a while. It's so powerful. Jiang Hao was in awe. He immediately thought of Gui, but realized it couldn't be her. It must be Granny Kufa who had attacked him before. She had finally made a move. Jiang Hao didn't know when her main body would arrive. Jiang Hao finally understood why some people feared Granny Kufa so much. The power of her curse was indeed extraordinary. At the sea sky forest, an old man walked out. He looked back and couldn't help but smile. I've finished what I promised. Are you still going to follow me? At that moment, two Immortal Ascension Realm experts appeared behind him. It's an honor to be able to do things for you, Senior. An honor? Old Man Corpse Sea smiled. Then, a sea appeared in the sea sky forest, and two dead bodies walked out of it. They rushed at the two people at lightning speed. Boom! The two people were sent flying. They were astonished and tried to cast spells to escape. However, the corpses didn't give them a chance. It grabbed them and pulled them toward the corpse sea. Senior, this must be a misunderstanding, the two shouted. Old Man Corpse Sea shook his head and laughed. Sure, let this be a misunderstanding then. After that, he walked away. Not long after he left, the entire sea sky forest was covered in turbulent waves that swept in all directions. The sea completely covered the mountains. Chapter 847. Someone cuts in line. Jiang Hao once again began to survey the surroundings, but just like before, there was nothing to gain. He also arrived at the location of the statue of a book. He hadn't checked there. He had searched most places with statues, but there were many others that remained untouched. He hadn't heard of any other statues. So, with what he presently had, there wasn't a need to be so desperate. Apart from artifacts that could be wiped, ordinary opportunities were irrelevant to him. Jiang Hao understood what this place was. It was more suitable for fellow cultivators. Fortunately, it wouldn't cause too much commotion. They had already consumed the pastries offered for worship. In the marriage book, there seemed to be some names. When he looked closer, he realized that they were really names, but silhouettes of people, like the threads of destiny. Out of curiosity, he decided to appraise it. Marriage book, an artifact of karmic fortune. A treasure condensed by the generations of strong individuals in the Astronomical Academy. It can peer into fate and seek the people bound by fate. Offering pastries that symbolize eternal unity allows the artifact to explore the karma between two individuals. If the connection is strong enough, it can be recorded in the marriage book. The more names recorded, the greater the power of the artifact. It is even capable of interfering with fate. Jiang Hao was quite shocked. This was indeed a magic marriage book. He wondered what might have happened if he and Hong Yuya had offered pastries here. After thinking for a moment, he shook his head. He didn't want to know. It would probably lead to something bad. It was a risk he couldn't afford to take. He preferred peace. Unlike others, what he lacked was time, not opportunities. There was no need for unnecessary risks. At that moment, he felt a curse approaching, likely from Granny Kufa again. It didn't take long for her to find him. However, she probably didn't realize that curses had no effect on him as long as he held the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. After that, he returned to the inn. He brought some pastries to Hong Yuya and made her some tea. You seem to attract unlucky things, Hong Yuya said. I should be able to deal with it in the next few days, Jiang Hao said. He needed to handle Granny Kufa's matter. Otherwise, it might lead to trouble with Hong Yuya. However, encountering Bai Zhu and Mr. Tao in the ancient city surprised him, especially Mr. Tao. How did he end up here? The next day, they left the ancient city. In an alley, Jing Dajiang and his two companions arrived at the monument left by the great master of the World Tower. There is no end to learning. Jiang Dajiang sighed with emotion. Who left this? I sense something strange. Let's ask the owner of the noodle shop, the man with the beard said. Without hesitation, the three quickly arrived at the noodle shop. However, to their surprise, the shop was closed. A note was pasted on the door. When the past and present converge, Jiang Dajiang was surprised. Is it really happening? Jiang Hao took Hong Yuya to other places. He needed to go to the city of cultivation, and the changes in the sea-sky forest had begun. He had to see what was happening there. Once things were confirmed, the chaos would likely begin. Then, he would go to the Jinshin Cliff to check the status of the ancient pages and thus be able to leave. However, there was a possibility that the matter of the corpse would affect the ancient pages. It depended on whether the corpse was resurrected first or waiting to be awakened. If the corpse also sought the ancient pages, he needed to be one step ahead. If he got them first and returned to the south, there would be no problem. The location of a Jinshin Cliff was only known to Shang, so he had the advantage. However, Senior Dan Yuan's people would surely go there too, and he wondered what their cultivation realms would be. 3 days later, in a towering new city, Jiang Hao planned to find a place to stay as soon as he entered. Then, he would go to the place where they sold pills. However, since Hong Yuya wanted to come with him too, he had no choice but to bring her along. He still had a lot of pills to sell, so he planned to ask about the situation in the sea-sky forest when selling them. He just wasn't sure if the news had reached there. He could sell them all, but decided to sell only a portion of it. Then, he would buy tea leaves and let Hong Yuya take a look. He found that there was a queue here. Why was this happening? He asked the person in front of him. There's a big sale of pills here. It said that people from the heavenly fragrant pill mountain urgently need spirit stones. So many people are here. Jiang Hao was surprised. Wouldn't this disrupt the market? What about other pill sellers? After thinking for a moment, he decided to go to another place. The sale here would surely hurt his chances of earning a bit more. When he asked around, he found out that the most well-informed place in the city was Heavenly Fragrance Pill Mountain. He had no choice but to come back and patiently wait in line. In front of him was a man dressed in a black robe. He was surrounded by various auras. Presumably, he was someone from the dark path. Only the demonic sect had individuals who walked such dangerous paths. Many in the demonic sect also practiced clear techniques. Only those unable to advance resorted to unconventional methods. At that moment, someone else cut in line in front of the black-robed person. "What are you doing?" the black-robed man asked. "Waiting in line." The one who had jumped in line was a woman. "I was waiting in line. Where did you get here? Why did you cut in front of me?" The black-robed man asked coldly. "Cut in line? What are you talking about?" The woman sneered. "I was waiting in line on the side and noticed this area was empty. So I shifted. How can that be considered cutting in line?" The black-robed man stared at the woman for a long time. "Get lost. Who do you think you are? Do you think people from the Divine Rotation sect are easy to harass?" The elegant woman glared at the black-robed man. "I said I was waiting here, didn't I?" Clang! A sword was unsheathed. Then it slashed toward the woman. The one who attacked was the black-robed man. The woman also radiated a glow. It was a defensive artifact. The two forces collided. In an instant, the defensive artifact shattered. The sword pointed at her. She looked terrified. The sword light flashed and slashed at her throat. The black-robed man picked up the storage treasure, burned the body, and continued waiting in line. Jiang Hao felt shocked. Could such intense conflicts occur in the city? In the cultivation world, staying safe was impossible if one wasn't strong or didn't try to keep a low profile. It was best not to provoke others. One never knew how strong the other person was and whether one would end up dead. After that, people nearby whispered to each other, "This guy is done for. He killed the wife of that lunatic. Someone will come looking for him soon. We should leave now. There's still time." The whispers weren't quiet, and Jiang Hao was sure the black-robed man could hear them, but he remained indifferent. The man seemed confident. Jiang Hao didn't pay much attention. He waited quietly. After a long time, it was finally his turn. He looked at Hong Yuye, and he didn't look impatient. "Let's go. We've waited long enough," Hong Yuye said calmly. Chapter 848. Another opportunity. After Jiang Hao entered, a woman at the counter immediately asked him what he needed. "Do you buy pills?" Jiang Hao asked. She hesitated. "During special times, our prices may be lower." "No problem," Jiang Hao said. "What are you planning to sell?" asked the woman. She was young and only in the Golden Core realm. As for her actual age, he was unsure. Hong Yuye also appeared young, but based on her cultivation realm, it was apparent that she had been cultivating for a long, long time. This, Jiang Hao took out a Soul Ascension Realm pill. It was a common type of pill. It wasn't that expensive, but a Golden Core Realm cultivator would feel surprised. The woman was quite curious. How did someone only at the Golden Core Realm possess such a pill? Did he steal it from somewhere? If he had found it somewhere, he wouldn't be trying to sell it here. The woman hesitated. "Please follow me to the 3rd floor." On the 3rd floor, Jiang Hao noticed another woman who was attending to the people waiting there. "Are they here to sell as well?" he asked curiously. "Most likely," whispered the woman leading them. "The guest over there has a primordial spirit realm. Friend, please be careful with your words." Jiang Hao nodded. Then he waited quietly. He observed the primordial spirit realm cultivator. With a robust aura and a bright primordial spirit, the person was probably beyond the primordial spirit realm. She was probably at the return to void realm. He couldn't understand why someone like that would be waiting here. Most inside were in the Soul Ascension realm, but no one queuing up was in the Soul Ascension realm. Perhaps they didn't have to line up for anything here. But this person had concealed their abilities well. If he didn't have the knowledge from the Nameless Manual, he might not have been able to see through it. The other person glanced at him, then continued waiting quietly. The person appeared middle-aged. They were perhaps at the early stage of the primordial spirit realm. It seemed like he lacked confidence. It seemed that was why the woman at the counter sounded so confident. Jiang Hao sighed. There were indeed many cultivators who hid their true cultivation realms. After some time, the door opened. A middle-aged man left with another staff member. The man looked disappointed by the transaction. "Senior, please don't mind. We all work for profit," said the woman reassuringly. "It's your turn, Senior," said another staff member to the primordial spirit realm cultivator. "All right, thank you," the middle-aged man said politely. The woman beside him smiled. "Senior, please." It didn't take long for the door to open again. "Senior, who asked you both to come in?" said another staff member. "You can now go," said the woman who had been escorting Jiang Hao and Hong Yuye. With a nod, Jiang Hao led Hong Yuye into the room. Inside, they saw a large table. Seated at the head of the table was an old man. His aura was restrained, but there were occasional fluctuations in it. His cultivation was at the peak of the Soul Ascension realm. He seemed very strong. A mere glance from him would be enough to kill a Golden Core realm cultivator. "Greetings, Senior," said Jiang Hao politely. On the left side of Senior, who sat the middle-aged man from earlier. So, Jiang Hao and Hong Yuye took their seats on the right. After they sat down, Senior, who said, "You all are here to sell treasures. You can bring them out one by one, and he'll set a price. As you can see, we have many customers. It's a critical time, so our price is none to SNGNT1Y lower than you expect. I hope you understand. If not, you're free to leave." Although he spoke politely enough, it was clear that he didn't want any arguments. Jiang Hao didn't mind. It seemed others felt the same. "Then, let me go first," said the middle-aged primordial spirit realm cultivator reluctantly, and took out a rusty iron sword. "I want to sell this treasure." The sword wasn't long. It was only the length of a forearm. Despite some spiritual fluctuations, Its rust-covered appearance made it hard to discern its usefulness. I found this in a well. Don't be fooled by its appearance. It can withstand immense spiritual energy and is quite sharp. It may not be an exceptional treasure, but the material is undoubtedly good, said the middle-aged, primordial spirit realm cultivator. It's an ordinary treasure forged from true elemental stones. However, it's not bad. We can purchase it for 8,000 spirit stones, Senior Who said. 8,000 was a small sum. Only 8,000? The middle-aged man seemed disappointed. Jiang Hao looked at the treasure and felt a different aura emanating from it. It gave off a vast and profound energy. It somewhat resembled the endless sword he had encountered in the past. The aura was as vast as the sky. Can I take a look? Jiang Hao asked. The middle-aged man looked surprised. Senior Who looked displeased. The two staff members were also shocked. The middle-aged man agreed. When Jiang Hao touched the sword, he could feel the aura. This was definitely not an ordinary item. An opportunity had shown itself to him. He had missed the stone monument, but he had gained this extraordinary rusty sword. He'll take it. Jiang Hao looked at the middle-aged man in front of him and said, I may not be able to offer much. I can only offer you 70,000 for it. If this was truly related to the endless sword, 70,000 would be a steal. He didn't expect to find such a sword here. Of course, he didn't offer a low price for it. There was no need for that. If he could gain something for it, 70,000 would be worth it. Since it was worth it, there was no need to make things difficult for the seller. Everyone had their own path, and there was no need for unnecessary conflicts. But if the person wasn't willing to sell, Jiang Hao felt that the person would most definitely be willing. As soon as this price was mentioned, the people around were astonished, especially the primordial spirit realm cultivator. Why 70,000? He asked. I cannot afford beyond that, said Jiang Hao. Gu Jin's identity made him feel calm. I can give you a discount. I can make it 50,000, said the middle-aged man. All right. Jiang Hao nodded. The two completed the transaction. The onlookers, especially Senior Who, were stunned. His face turned dark. However, the primordial spirit realm cultivator ignored the others, and Jiang Hao did the same. I still have some treasures here. See if you need anything else, friend, said the man as he took out other rusty treasures. Jiang Hao couldn't help but marvel when he looked at the items. Did this man plunder someone's tomb? After a careful look, he chose 3 treasures. This time, the 3 items cost a total of 50,000 spirit stones. He had spent 100,000 on treasures. He also took out some pills. Since the highest cultivation was only at the soul ascension realm, he selected some unique and healing spirit herbs. The man offered him 40,000 spirit stones for them. After receiving 40,000 spirit stones, Jiang Hao bought 2 more treasures and spent another 30,000. Finally, the two looked at Senior Who. Senior, please estimate the price of the remaining items. At that moment, the gloomy Senior Who felt like he was being played. He looked at the 2 people icily. My shop doesn't want to do business with you two. Please leave. The primordial spirit realm cultivator frowned. We waited in line so long to see you, Senior. Are you just going to kick us out just like that? Senior Who sneered. You're just a primordial spirit realm cultivator. As soon as he said that, his aura spread. However, a giant aura like a hand pressed down and shattered his energy. The force of return to Void Realm pressed Senior Who. He was trembling in fear. Chapter 849. Recalling how good she had it in the south, the return to Void aura appeared. Except for Jiang Hao and Hong Yuye, everyone else was terrified. That kind of power made them feel like a lost boat in a storm. At any moment, they could be swallowed by the deep sea and destroyed. Senior Who stood up. He composed himself and glared at the 2 staff members. Why haven't you served tea to the seniors yet? The 2 staff members were scared. They hurriedly went to pour the tea. Jiang Hao realized that there wasn't any tea in sight. However, the 2 staff members hurried along. He found that strange. Everyone was lined up, but these 2 women had accompanied them. Jiang Hao wondered why. Perhaps it was intentional. After a while, several cups of good tea were brought up to where they were seated. Jiang Hao smelled it. Is this red azure tea? You're quite knowledgeable about tea, said the primordial spirit realm cultivator. Jiang Hao smiled. I bought a lot of tea in a nearby store, so I know a bit about them. He did seem to know a lot about tea. It wasn't especially the taste he knew about, but the price of different types of tea. What kind of tea do you buy? Senior Hu asked with a smile. After some thought, Jiang Hao said, mostly September spring. Lately, he had been buying a lot of September spring. He bought red azure less frequently than before. He had spent a lot of spirit stones on them. Senior Hu initially thought it was just average tea, but didn't expect to hear about September spring. His face stiffened. He felt that this golden core realm cultivator might be deceiving people. However, when he thought about how Jiang Hao had just spent 100,000 spirit stones on simple treasures, he was convinced it was the truth. Moreover, he didn't dare speak because he feared the return to Void Realm aura might appear again. For a moment, a bold idea popped into his mind. Today, he had offended two seniors who liked to play tricks. He lowered his head and carefully tallied the items for the two seniors. He offered 80,000 for one batch and 60,000 for another. Jiang Hao's batch was the latter. Then, he felt the gaze of Han Yuye on him. Jiang Hao asked if he had any September spring for sale. Senior Hu said there was none, but could arrange a shipment, which would arrive shortly. Jiang Hao returned 60,000 spirit stones to Senior Hu to book 3 packs of September spring. He now had only 13,666 spirit stones. He sold most of the remaining items and gained another 10,000. For a moment, he didn't know if he had gained or lost. I actually have a question for you, seniors, said Jiang Hao. Have you heard about the situation in the Sea Sky Forest? Sea Sky Forest? Senior Hu said, You mean the Corpse Sea? The water of the Corpse Sea has covered that area and is spreading rapidly, said the middle-aged primordial spirit realm man. Various sects have already gone over, and the people from the Astronomical Academy took action too. However, it's challenging to control the situation. It hasn't been resolved yet. We heard that the end of all things is responsible. We expect something terrible to happen. But besides some kerfuffle, nothing major has happened yet, said Senior Hu. Jiang Hao was puzzled. Is that all? Where are the awakened corpses? He wondered if the end of all things had failed. The news about the Corpse Sea spreading wasn't much news at all. What he wanted to know was where the corpses under the Corpse Sea had gone, and whether they had awakened yet. Is there more? He asked. It said that some sect were covered by the Corpse Sea and found it difficult to escape. Now that the Corpse Sea is sweeping in all directions, it might bring unimaginable changes to the West. Moreover, various sects still don't know how the Corpse Sea came out of the Corpse Realm, Senior Hu said. The Corpse Realm was quite famous in the West, and many people knew about it. However, Jiang Hao found this news surprising. With so much effort put into the plan by the end of all things, it should have caused a huge commotion. But there was nothing much happening. He wondered if they were biding their time. If so, when would it happen? He couldn't come up with an answer. Finally, he said, Have you heard of the North Valley Mountains? North Valley Mountains? It should be in the southern region of the West, under the jurisdiction of the Five Grains Prefecture. Senior Hu said, Is it far from the Sea Sky Forest? Jiang Hao asked. Quite far, Senior Hu said. Jiang Hao was relieved. He knew that the Jiasin Cliff was located somewhere in the North Valley Mountains. There was a city there, and outside the city was a village. On the mountainside of the village was the Jiasin Cliff. He had a general idea, but didn't know the exact location. He would have to ask around. Fortunately, the Sea Sky Forest was quite far away, so they shouldn't encounter any problems over there. The sage's pages also had no additional information. He didn't know if there were other pages he could find. With nothing else to do, Jiang Hao didn't linger there any longer. He was about to get up and leave. Friend, said the middle-aged primordial spirit realm cultivator, I have some information about the sage's pages. Would you like to hear it? Sage's pages? Jiang Hao was surprised. He asked if he had to pay anything in exchange for the information. The man offered the information in exchange for 1,000 spirit stones. Han Yuye was present, so he had no choice but to agree. If it was genuinely useful, 1,000 spirit stones would be worth it. If not, then he would have lost 1,000 spirit stones for nothing. In the end, the other party gave him a piece of jade slip, and he left. Jiang Hao remained silent for some time. He then got up and left too. Senior Hu and the others breathed a sigh of relief. Outside, Jiang Hao saw people fighting. They probably had some dispute about lining up. He didn't pay attention to them. Such incidents were common in the cultivation world. It was better to leave quickly. At the inn, Jiang Hao handed the jade slip to Hong Yuye. Senior, this recorded a place called the Thousand Rivers Spring. It said that there was an eruption there, and an item emerged. It might be related to the ancient pages. However, nobody knows the details so far. The item might still be near the spring. It's a few days' journey from here. Are you going there? Hong Ye didn't look at the jade slip. Yes, I plan to check it out. Jiang Hao nodded. He needed to stall for time, and the changes in the sea-sky forest worried him. The eruption might not have happened yet. Once it erupted, who knew how terrifying it would be? The curse was also growing. Granny Kufa would come for him again. That needed to be addressed too. In the sky, two people flew on their swords. Princess, where are we going? Xiao Yi asked. They had been flying for a long time without stopping. I don't know. You'll know when we get closer to where we should be, said Bai Zhu with a smile. Can you really find the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment like this? I don't know, but the chef of the noodle shop said it's possible, so it should be. Bai Zhu looked naive, as though she was a young woman who knew nothing of the world. What else could she do? Everyone and everything made her feel helpless. Not long after leaving, she recalled how good she had it in the South. The South was not that great. It had the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, and the Nine Nether. But still, it was nothing special. It was at least not as formidable as the West. Chapter 850. A celestial being descends to the mortal world in the ancient city. Mr. Tao was sitting in a tea pavilion, enjoying his tea. Tanya was pouring tea. Zhu Shun entered. Mr. Tao, I found some information. There's a disturbance in the sea-sky forest, and it seems that the corpse sea from the corpse realm is overflowing. However, we have very little information about the corpse realm, so we can't make a judgment on this matter. So far, the corpse sea has started to spread, like endless seawater sweeping in all directions. The mountains can't stop it, and even the strong can't halt its advance. If this continues, countless people in the West will die under the corpse sea. The people from the Astronomical Academy should soon be able to control the corpse sea, Mr. Tao said while sipping tea. Is there any news about the end of all things? There's some. It seems their people are divided into two groups. One is in the sea-sky forest, and the other is active everywhere, presumably for the sake of the sage's pages, Zhu Shan said. Mr. Tao thought for a moment. Have we found the person we're looking for? Not yet, but there is some information. Zhu Shan hesitated for a moment. Can we really find that place? This is the information I obtained from Wu Yang. Not only are we looking, but also the Great Thousand God sect is on it, Mr. Tao said calmly. After all that talk, you haven't told us anything, Tanya said helplessly. Just call it the dragon's nest. Why play it like a riddle? Sometimes our conversations may be overheard, and it's better not to mention things if it's not necessary, Zhu Shan said. Will the dragon's nest really be in the West? Tanya didn't believe it. It probably won't be. It's possible there's just related information, Mr. Tao said. Besides the dragon's nest, do we want to go and check the sage's pages? Zhu Shan asked. Mr. Tao shook his head. Let go. This is a matter for the great sage. This is ultimately the West, not overseas. We need to be extremely cautious here and not miss out on relevant information. Also, the situation in the sea-sky forest. After saying that, Mr. Tao paused for a moment. Rest well tonight. Tomorrow, we'll investigate the situation. Stay in the ancient city for a short time. It's much safer here than outside. Tanya and Zhu Shan nodded. On the other side, Bai Zhu, who was still flying, suddenly stopped. Then, she looked at a small mountain village below. Auntie Qiao, let's stay in that mountain village for a night and give them some things. I feel bad seeing them so poor. Just some kindness, Qiao. He had no objection. After that, the two landed. There was a large mountain here. There was an extremely powerful force, but was on the verge of losing control. If they were careless, it would explode and destroy lives within several hundred miles. Baiju was a bit surprised. Is it my luck or just bad luck? To her, this place couldn't do anything to her, but at a glance it was not a good thing. However, the more she observed, the stranger she felt. The out-of-control force seemed to be regulated by something. Clearly, it was about to erupt, but it hadn't just yet. This made Baiju curious about what was regulating such a massive force. "Princess, you sensed it?" Xiao Yi asked. "Of course, I'm the first genius of the royal family. I can sense things that you can't sense," Baiju said proudly. "Then, should we leave as soon as possible?" Xiao Yi didn't sense anything much, but she knew that this place was extremely dangerous. It was not suitable to stay here for a long time. "No, let's go and see this village." Baiju walked toward it. It was getting dark. When they arrived at the entrance of the village, people looked wary. They didn't know where these outsiders came from. "Where is your village chief?" Baiju asked a woman beside her. After finding out the location, Baiju headed there. After a while, the elderly village chief introduced Baiju to the people in the village as a distinguished guest from the city. Each family received a pound of meat. Everyone was delighted. Baiju also gave them some grains. As long as it could be solved with money, there was nothing she couldn't do. After that, she asked the village chief if anything had happened in the village recently. Yes, a few years ago, someone in the village offended the fire god on the mountain. That day, the fire god sent down divine punishment. The flames soared, and the mountain was on fire. It was like a sea of fire everywhere. The village chief said with some trepidation, "If it weren't for the appearance of the mountain's daughter that day, we would have died long ago." From that time, the mountain princess appeases the anger of the fire god every day. Every day, our hunters take her into the mountain during the day and wait for her to return at night. "Yes, if it weren't for the mountain princess, I would have died back then," said a woman gratefully. Baiju was somewhat surprised. The mountain princess? Who was that person? At sunset, many people looked in the direction of the mountain. Baiju and Xiao Yi were also eagerly looking forward to it. They wanted to see who this mountain princess really was. Soon a light descended. A group of people walked out of the mountain. Baiju and the others couldn't see the others clearly, but saw a young woman walk out of the mountain. Her form glowed with a faint white light. She was covered in dirt, yet it didn't diminish her radiance. It was as if she were a celestial being in the sky, yet her feet were on the ground. The celestial being descends to the mortal world, Xiao Yi said in awe. Soon, she found out that the other party was actually in the primordial spirit realm. Baiju saw it clearly. The moonlight did not come from the moon, but from a pure white bird beside the girl. "This is the moon wheel." This was the person with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. "Andy Xiao, I feel like I've never been so lucky in my life," Baiju said. In the evening, Jiang Hao was sitting cross-legged on the bed. He already knew about tonight's gathering. He needed to review the information from the last gathering, and when everything was ready, he would start wiping the magical treasures. He hoped to gain something. Tomorrow, he would go to the Thousand River Spring to see if there was anything related to the sage's pages. It seemed that the Thousand River Spring was closer to Mountain River Valley. If it was convenient, he could take a look. If Guan Zhongfei was there, he could also retrieve the Mountain Sea Seal. But he didn't know how things were going on Zhang's side. Reviewing the information from the last gathering, Jiang Hao found that there was nothing particularly noteworthy. Most tasks were from Gue. At that time, Jiang Hao took out a rusty iron sword. Without hesitation, he appraised it. Mountain River Sword Embryo. The sword embryo that the Mountain Sea Sword sect condensed when they condensed the Seven Extremes sword. Due to the influence of the mountains and rivers, they had no choice but to leave the sword embryo in the mountains and rivers. After countless years, the sword embryo took shape, but under the changes of the mountains and rivers, it completely became an ownerless item. Its aura was restrained and returned to ordinary. You can use your own sword's intent to refine the sword embryo. Use your cultivation to forge a sword, and use the sword to condense your cultivation. Looking at the feedback, Jiang Hao found it somewhat unbelievable. He picked up a sword embryo, and it was coagulated by the Mountain Sea Sword sect. How many spirit stones could it be sold for? Buying it for 50,000 spirit stones was indeed a big profit. However, he was in no hurry to sell it. Maybe there were other uses for it. For now, he wanted to see if he could gain bubbles by wiping it. At midnight, Jiang Hao entered the stone tablet. When he came in, the first thing he saw was Zhang, who was now covered in black energy. It seemed that she could fall into demonic cultivation at any moment. After that, she would no longer be herself. It was very dangerous. Unfortunately, he didn't understand it. Even if he wanted to help, he couldn't. The others were also watching Zhang. After everyone arrived, they greeted Senior Dan Yuan. He asked if they had any cultivation problems. Now, it seemed that everyone was settling down, and there were no cultivation problems. If anyone had any problem, it was Zhang. Sure enough, Senior Dan Yuan explained the immortal intent again. Xing seemed more focused than last time, and Lu seemed to understand more as well. Gue nodded to show her understanding. Only Jiang Hao, as always, remained bewildered as if it was something he was hearing for the first time. The gap in their realms was too vast. It made it impossible for him to comprehend immortal intent. He could only wait calmly. After a while, Zhang said, "Thanks, Senior Dan Yuan." After the explanation, Dan Yuan smiled. "Have you made a decision?" The figure shrouded in black energy nodded. "Yes, the results should be out soon." Her answer made Jiang Hao and the others curious about Zhang's intentions. However, she didn't speak again. She seemed to be struggling. It felt like a desperate situation. Dan Yuan didn't say much. "How is the sea sky forest?" This question was directed at Gue, as she was assigned the task. "It has erupted. The corpse sea is spreading now. There's a vortex in the west, and the corpses inside are one of the vortexes. We don't know the source. The Astronomical Academy can't stop it. Even if someone notices, they can't do anything," Gue said. She didn't go there herself, but she heard a lot about it. "A fortune vortex?" Dan Yuan smiled. "Did the noodle shop chef inform you?" Gue nodded. "It seems that someone extraordinary has appeared in the shop." Dan Yuan sighed with emotion. Gue hesitated. "It's Gu Jin." At that, Zhang, who had been silent all this while, suddenly turned and looked at Gue. "What? How is that possible?" "I don't know. I only know that they've been repeating the phrase convergence of the ancient and modern world a lot. It said that the issue with the vortex depends on that person," said Gue. She didn't intend to reveal this, but a major crisis was approaching. It was necessary to inform them as much as possible. This way, she might have a better chance at survival. Jiang Hao lowered his head and did not speak. Gue might not know that the person she referred to as the one who could make or break this situation was just a small cultivator. There was no hope at all. Gu Jin. Lu was puzzled. Even Xing was puzzled. They had never heard of this person's existence. Gu Jin is not from this era. It's natural that you don't know him. His existence is irreplaceable for the West. In those years, he was like a beam of light who illuminated the entire West with his strength. Because of his existence, numerous powerful people rose in the West, and he suppressed the chaos, Dan Yuan said with a smile. But he has long disappeared. Many people have forgotten his existence. There has been no news of him, even though the Astronomical Academy has searched far and wide. Xing frowned slightly. If such a person has returned, why haven't the major sects received any news? The overseas region doesn't seem to have much information about the West either, Lu said. Don't think too much. Gu Jin hasn't actually returned. Jiang Hao sighed inwardly. If everyone thought that Gu Jin had returned, he, who carried the identity of Gu Jin, would probably face tremendous pressure. No matter what, he couldn't be careless. Without enough strength, he wouldn't get involved in anything too dangerous. Dan Yuan didn't dwell much on the topic, and instead asked about the whereabouts of the old man Corpse C. However, no one knew where the Corpse C old man had gone. They only knew that the sea sky forest had been occupied by the Corpse C. At that point, Dan Yuan suddenly asked, "Who among you is in the west?" Zhang was the first to speak. "I am, but I can't move right now." Everyone understood Zhang's situation. It was uncertain whether she could survive this. "I am in the west too, but I can't move right now." She had to follow that person. Only then was it possible for her to survive this calamity. Her situation was similar to Zhang's in a way. She was going through a lot, but if Zhang succeeded, she could break through to the immortal ascension platform, while she would only be able to survive. There probably wasn't anyone else in the West. Chapter 852. The heavenly fate Misfortune Pearl was also brought to the West. Jiang Hao wondered if he should also tell them that he was in the West. He was caught off guard. He wanted to avoid revealing his location. The end of all things was after the Earth Extreme silent pair. If he did anything, it would be chaos. However, if these people knew he was in the West, he could avoid major issues. He didn't want to take on more tasks at the moment. There was likely some mission to fulfill if Senior Dan Yuan was asking them where they were. "Is there anyone else in the West?" Gue asked. "I am here temporarily," Lu said suddenly. Gue was surprised. "Friend Lu, are you also there because of the Sage's pages?" Most people were in the West for the same reason. But Lu shook his head. Gue didn't ask further and turned to the others. "So, is there anyone else?" Jiang Hao remained silent for a moment. "I'm here too," he said after a moment. Gue looked bewildered. Others were also somewhat surprised. "Did you take the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl with you?" asked Xing. Jiang Hao shook his head. Gue breathed a sigh of relief. "But the heavenly fate Misfortune Pearl is with me." Gue was speechless. For a moment, she didn't understand what he was trying to do, running around with such a dangerous object. Her intention for coming to the West was completely crushed. Lu was also surprised. He then looked at Xing. "Didn't you go to the West?" If everyone was in the West, the problems would be easier to handle. Gue looked forward to that. If there were more people present, she would feel safer. At least she wouldn't be alone. It was like when she encountered the immortal fate before, and she could only watch by herself. That feeling was unbearable. Xing smiled and shook his head. "No, I am in the East." Jiang Hao felt that both Gue and Lu were disappointed by that. Being in the same region wasn't so difficult because it was hard to run into each other. The West was vast. Even if two people want to find each other, it would be a challenge. It would take a long time even if they were to meet at a designated location. What was frightening was that Jing and they were in the same place. Senior Dan Yuan had no more tasks, so it was time for everyone to trade information. Jiang Hao was in the West, mainly for the Sage's pages. There was nothing else to care about. They quietly finished their transaction. "Are you going to the Jinshin Cliff?" Zhang asked. Gue shook her head. "I can't." She could only follow that person for now. "I might go," Jiang Hao said. Lu wasn't there for the pages, so he wasn't headed there. So, Jiang Hao had to speak up. "There is a village named Big Mountain near Jinshin Cliff. There's a grave on the hill behind the village. If you pass by, friend Jing, can you offer an incense on my behalf?" Zhang said. Jiang Hao nodded. "Okay." The reward in exchange wasn't mentioned. If Zhang failed, he wouldn't get the reward for the mission. If she succeeded, then he could receive the reward at any time. That was how the gathering worked. "I want news on the Heavenly Spirit Tribe," said Xing. He looked at Lu. "How detailed do you want it?" Lu asked. "The more detailed, the better," Xing said. Jiang Hao was surprised. It was understandable when Gue wanted information about the Heavenly Spirit Tribe before, but it was strange that Xing wanted it too. Lu nodded, and Xing asked what he needed to do in exchange. Lu thought about it. "I want to know what information the Clear Sky School has about the Dragon Clan." Xing readily agreed. Gue seemed deep in thought, but she didn't say anything. She still needed to pay attention to her own condition. With no more transactions, everyone began to talk about the recent events. Both the end of all things and the Great Thousand Gods sect want the astronomical scroll. The former might want it for the Sage's pages, and the latter. "I don't know yet," said Zhang. Jiang Hao understood. It seemed that besides Zhang, people from the Great Thousand Gods sect were also after the scroll. The situation in the West has a significant impact. The Bright Moon sect has sent someone, but they may not intervene because that involves the fortune of the West. As Gouet said, perhaps only special individuals can resolve the situation. Otherwise, it will be a disaster for all living beings. That is probably what the end of all things wants to see, Xing said. But the information about that corpse still seems to be a mystery. I only know that he may be from the corpse clan. Speaking of corpses, there's something I need to inform you about, said Dan Yuan as he looked at Jiang Hao, Gui, and Lu. In the West, you need to be careful. If I'm not mistaken, the danger in the Sea-Sky Forest hasn't escalated because that corpse hasn't made a move. It likely has already left the Sea-Sky Forest and is wandering around the West. Be careful. It is most likely to approach those who possess karmic treasures and fortune treasures. Karmic treasures? They immediately thought of the stone tablet they used. This tablet was most likely such a treasure. As for the fortune treasures, they looked at Jing. At the same time, they thought of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. Why are you looking at me? Can the heavenly fate misfortune pearl also be considered a fortune treasure? Jiang Hao felt worried. He recalled the feedback from the appraisal. The heavenly fate misfortune pearl seemed to be genuinely a fortune treasure. His heart sank. Even Gouet and the others were worried. It was already dangerous enough as it was. The West would soon be in trouble. Do you have a way to avoid it, Senior? Jiang Hao asked. There is indeed a way, Dan Yuan said. If what Gouet said is true, then you can try to find Gujin. He has a special fortune in the West. Perhaps it can confuse the opponent. Only by staying at Gujin's side can you avoid the corpse. However, both the corpse and Gujin are extraordinary individuals. They might clash with each other. Jiang Hao sighed in his heart. His situation was getting even more complicated than he had anticipated. No matter what he did, he couldn't avoid the corpse. It was truly a dead end. After thanking him, Jiang Hao fell silent. The matter was too shocking. The gathering also ended. At that time, everyone who woke up from the gathering felt down. In a loft, Mr. Tao woke up from his meditation. He held a book in his hand, and there was warm tea by his side. He sighed heavily. He put down the book and walked out of the loft. Tang was outside on guard. Mr. Tao, another sleepless night? Indeed. Mr. Tao smiled helplessly. Then, he looked around and said, Where's Zhu Shun? Call him. Okay. Tang nodded, and then used a secret technique to summon Zhu Shun. Mr. Tao, are you looking for me? Zhu Shun flew over from afar. Mr. Tao nodded. He rubbed his temples. Pack up. Let's return overseas. Now. Tang was puzzled. Yes. Now. Mr. Tao nodded. Chapter 853. A cursed retreat moonlight spilled onto the earth. Even the paths were illuminated. At that moment, a flying magical treasure whizzed through the high sky, with 3 figures above. One of them was sitting cross-legged and leisurely making tea. Mr. Tao, are we really going back like this? Tanya looked down and asked, Is there anything here worth missing? Mr. Tao asked curiously. Not really. It's just that we are so close to the dragon's nest. Why give up suddenly? Tanya felt regretful. Zhu Shun was also puzzled. He was about to find a very important person. Leaving like this suddenly made him feel remorseful. Mr. Tao's rapid departure indicated that this place was not safe to stay for long. They had to listen to him. Mr. Tao was good at strategizing. Mr. Tao did not miss anything. Everything was under his control. If Mr. Tao still chose to leave the West overnight, it meant it was a serious issue. However, I didn't understand. Are our enemies coming here? Tanya asked. No. Mr. Tao shook his head. The dragon's nest can be found anytime. It might be a bit delayed, but it wouldn't affect us so much. But if we don't leave right now, we might be stuck in the West for a long time. Zhu Shun and Tanya were surprised. Is the West dangerous? Tanya asked. Is there a danger we don't know about? Zhu Shun also asked. It wouldn't be this serious unless it was something very dangerous. Mr. Tao smiled. Tanya looked at Zhu Shun. Do you understand Mr. Tao's riddle? Zhu Shun was speechless. You don't like riddles now, do you? Bai Zhu woke up in a wooden house in the village. She lived with the mountain princess. This house was the newest in the village, but it still looked ordinary and small. Baiju walked out of the house and walked to a big tree in the distance. She wanted to find someone to talk to. "Andy Chow," she called out softly. "Princess, are you looking for me?" Chow, he walked out from behind the tree. Baiju was startled. "Andy Chow, can you make some sound next time?" "What's wrong, princess?" Chow, he was puzzled. Baiju asked softly, "What is the name of this village?" "Mountain God Village," Chow, he said. "That's good." Baiju breathed a sigh of relief. "Auntie Chow, after this is over, if we survive, let's go back to the south and stop wandering around for a while." Chow, he shook her head. "Princess, have you forgotten? We still need to go overseas to find the heavenly spirit tribe." Baiju was speechless. She just wanted to go home. After the gathering, Jiang Hao took out a book and started taking notes. There wasn't much that needed to be written down. Only the great thousand god sects' involvement in Zhang's affairs needed to be noted, and there was also a high possibility that the corpses would be wandering in the west. They might be getting closer to fortune and karmic treasure. There was a possibility that Jiang Hao might run into the corpses. Gu Jin's fortune and identity might confuse the corpses to seek him out. It was inevitable. Jiang Hao sighed. He felt that he was getting involved in too many things after coming to the West. It was difficult to escape. The only way now was to quickly find the sage's pages and return home. Before returning to his sect, he had to help Zhang with her offering. It was an ordinary task. He could now see how dangerous it was to make it to the Immortal Ascension platform. Even such an ordinary task was difficult to do. Zhang had underestimated the danger of advancement. Not everyone could make it to a new realm safely. After writing down everything, Jiang Hao began to study the nameless manual. What he needed now was the power of perception. He couldn't raise his combat prowess, so this was helpful. He needed to improve quickly. So, the only way was to use the spirit stones to digest the divine soul of the Holy Master. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it now. He didn't have enough spirit stones. He only had 12,000 left. The next day, Jiang Hao found Hong Yuye. He discussed what had happened in the gathering. He also mentioned the walking corpses in the West who were targeting fortune and karmic treasures. He hoped to get some advice from her, because the solution given by Senior Dan Yuan was of no use to him. He was Gu Jin, so he obviously couldn't use his identity to solve his own problem. He also brewed a pot of tea for her. "The Corpse Clan?" Hong Yuye asked. "Yes, it's said to be someone from the Corpse Clan," Jiang Hao said. "Why do you think he's looking for karmic and fortune treasures?" Hong Yuye poured a cup of tea for herself. If he's still a corpse, then karmic and fortune treasures are most likely needed to revive him. Hong Yuye took a sip of tea. Currently, even if the corpse is awake, it has no life force. It's similar to a discarded body. As time passes, ITLL disappear. Then, ITLL wait for someone to revive the corpse again. Jiang Hao nodded. He understood why it hadn't caused so much commotion. The corpses were trying to find a way to revive themselves. "If it appears, can you sense it?" Jiang Hao asked. "People from the Corpse Clan have avatars. This person should be no exception." Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao meaningfully. Jiang Hao was somewhat puzzled. Many people had avatars. The Divine Corpse Sect, the Corpse Clan, and the Great Thousand God Sect. They all used clones and avatars. Hong Yuye didn't provide much information, and Jiang Hao could only take one step at a time. However, the dangers seemed to exceed his capabilities. He didn't know what to do. In front of real power, he was too insignificant. No matter how hard he worked over the years, he still couldn't become strong enough. Perhaps in the sect, he could still manage. But once outside, he was reminded of where he stood. He felt helpless. Maybe he should continue hiding in the sect. The two headed toward the Thousand Springs River. At that moment, an old woman descended from the sky near the spring. There were already some people there. When they saw the old woman, they stepped back. The old woman had dark auras around her. When she landed, the grass withered at her feet. The curse spread. "I'm waiting for someone. I hope you won't get in my way," said the old woman as she looked around at the others. The people could only nod and retreat or stay there silently. Granny Kufa was a dangerous person. It wasn't good to provoke her. She could kill someone with a curse without even lifting her finger. Similar things had happened before. For a while, the crowd dared not speak, but they were all curious about who Granny Kufa was waiting for. After asking around, they found out that Granny Kufa's avatar had been killed while avenging her grandson. Now, the main body was waiting for the enemy here. Someone sighed. If this person doesn't have a big, influential background, they're in trouble. Yeah, they managed to offend her. I heard that even the most powerful individuals of major sects don't want any beef with her, said a woman who was standing nearby. Chapter 854. The fearless Golden Core Realm Cultivator Jiang Hao headed toward the Thousand Springs River. After several days of walking, he finally saw the outline of the river. From a distance, he saw many mountains. A river flowed from the top to bottom. Many springs and tributaries converged into a river. This was the Thousand Springs River. Jiang Hao found that each spring was like nature's hot spring. It's a pity that there's no one here, Jiang Hao said and sighed. Hong Yuye glanced at him. Jiang Hao didn't say much and looked ahead. He wanted to find clues about Sage's pages. However, no matter how he looked, he could find nothing. He didn't know if the clue he had found was accurate or not. The path to the springs was paved. Jiang Hao and Hong Yuye walked together and headed toward the highest point of the mountain. They wanted to take a look because they were hopeful that they could find something there. "Friend," said someone from close by. Jiang Hao turned and saw a young man sitting under a tree. He looked familiar. "Did you call me, Senior?" Jiang Hao asked. "Senior?" The young man smiled. "My status is not that high. I'm just slightly higher in the cultivation realm than you. I just wanted to say that, don't go up there. The path is full of curses. It's fine here, but it's hard to say if you'll be safe beyond this point." "Curses?" Jiang Hao looked and saw only faint traces of curses. "Yes." Hidu nodded. "This path has been cursed by Granny Kufa. If you go up, you might suffer. I heard she is waiting for someone up there for revenge." Granny Kufa? Jiang Hao was surprised. He thought the curse had disappeared, and Granny Kufa might have given up. Unexpectedly, she was still waiting for him. She was actually quite knowledgeable. How had she found out that he was going to be here? Jiang Hao didn't know if she had just guessed it or found out by other means. "Yes. Do you know about Granny Kufa, friend?" Hidu asked. For a Golden Core Realm cultivator like him, it was natural for him not to know about powerful people like that. Jiang Hao nodded. "I've heard about her a couple of times. What do you think of her, Senior?" "She is a person who possesses a special magic treasure, but acts recklessly. It's said that some major sects tried to kill her, but she escaped every time and then began to retaliate. She targets talented disciples of major sects for revenge. She is difficult to guard against. There was a powerful expert who tried to chase her, but wasn't able to kill her. She almost killed him. A senior had to intervene to resolve the matter," said Hidu. "What kind of magic treasure is it that allows her to be so reckless?" Jiang Hao was curious. "It's something related to curses and survival," said Hidu. "According to some seniors, it might be related to the Longevity clan." They didn't elaborate on the details. But Granny Kufa is formidable. It's said that she is likely involved with some formidable existence. So those who can actually kill her are reluctant to act against her. They just let her be. In recent years, she has been a bit bearable because she had a grandson. Unfortunately, her grandson was killed some time ago. Now, she's gone crazy. It's better not to provoke her, friend. If she's so terrifying, what are you still doing here, Senior?" Jiang Hao asked. "It's because she has been useful for my master. At least, she used to be. I'm not so sure now. A crazy person wouldn't care about friends or foes anyway. Do you think her grandson deserves his death?" Jiang Hao asked after some thought. "I never saw him, but based on rumors, her grandson was even more reckless and despicable than her. I feel like it's better that he is dead," said Hidu. "Indeed. This Granny Kufa sounds really troublesome," said Jiang Hao. The people around her weren't really scared of her cultivation realm, but more about her going crazy and attacking everyone. "Senior, are you from the Astronomical Academy?" Jiang Hao asked. He had been thinking about where he had seen this person before. Now, he remembered meeting him when he visited the Bright Moon sect. He had seen him use the light and dust technique before. "Your eyes are sharp." Yidu was surprised. Jiang Hao didn't say much and continued to walk toward the mountain peak. Yidu was shocked. Hadn't he explained things properly? He swallowed the words he was going to utter and followed along. Jiang Hao and Hong Ye walked up the stone steps and looked around. They were unhurried, as if they were strolling leisurely in a courtyard. As for the curses, it didn't get close to them. Even without using the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, Jiang Hao could easily resist these things. The path that looked deserted soon filled with people. A crowd gathered. When they saw the cultivation realm of the two people, they sighed sadly. They thought these two were inexperienced, so they didn't know what was coming their way. It surprised them more that Yidu followed them. Some people felt that he was there to protect those two. A golden core realm cultivator. Does he think highly of himself? Some people whispered along the roadside. They knew that making it to the golden core realm usually made people feel invincible. However, as time passed, they realized that the golden core realm was just the beginning. Jiang Hao didn't pay attention to the people around him. He continued ahead and finally reached the peak. At that moment, he still hadn't sensed any special aura, but he felt the curses starting to intensify. It pressed down on him. Besides Jiang Hao, people around also felt the curse's power. "Friend, the curse is stronger here," Yidu said. Jiang Hao paid no attention to the curse, but whispered, "Granny Kufa doesn't dare show herself, does she?" Although he knew where the opponent was, he was sure. It was necessary to understand the opponent's weakness to deal with them in one go. Since Granny Kufa was seen as troublesome by everyone, it was best to deal with her in one blow. Yidu was surprised. The others also felt astonished. Was this person deliberately provoking Granny Kufa? They had thought this newcomer was just ignorant and reckless, but now they felt that perhaps he had some tricks up his sleeves. The curse intensified, but Granny Kufa didn't appear. She was probably observing him. Jiang Hao took out the golden wheel. In an instant, he felt the curse's power erupting like a wave, followed by a figure in the void. That was an effective concealment technique. "It's you. You killed my grandson." Granny Kufa looked at him in hatred and anger. "My grandson wouldn't even harm an ant, but you killed him." Jiang Hao looked at her calmly. First, he needed to appraise her. Chapter 855. He was here for the kill. Jiang Hao set up a tea table on the side. He then brewed a pot of September spring. Only then did he turn to Hong Yuye. "Senior, care for some tea?" She didn't respond, but sat down and drank the tea. People around them kept their eyes on Jiang Hao and paid little to no attention to Hong Yuye. They found Jiang Hao's behavior strange. He was making tea at a moment like this. "You still have the leisure for this?" Granny Kufa sneered. At this time, curses continued to emerge around the Thousand Springs River as if the curses had been planted there since long ago. So ominous. Jiang Hao shook his head and sighed. Others play with curses, but want to remain mysterious. Yet you want to show off how ominous you are. Jiang Hao's eyes sparkled. A powerful aura condensed in the air and then erupted with a loud boom. They had no idea where the terrifying force came from. Boom! At the highest point of Thousand Springs River, an invisible force roared and sent people flying. It was Granny Kufa who had blasted everyone away with her power. The crowd was shocked. In the next moment, Jiang Hao chased after Granny Kufa. People reacted and followed with flying swords. However, when they arrived, they found that the person had disappeared. In the woods on the other hill, the heavenly cauldron unfolded. He appraised her. Granny Kufa. In the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform, her body contains the core branch of the Longevity Curse tree, which has been refined into the Longevity Thousand Hearts Curse. Every 50 years, a small realm can be condensed into a Longevity Heart. Before death, it is possible to connect the Longevity Heart with a treasure or a cursed heart to awaken it. The Cultivation realm lowers by one realm if killed. Yin-Yang bracelet can be used to confine the surrounding curse and prevent the Longevity Heart from activating. It can be seized and destroyed, which will kill the enemy. She came after you because she couldn't vent her anger on anyone else. She is confident that the person with the golden wheel is the one who killed her grandson. Jiang Hao was somewhat surprised. The treasure turned out to be the longevity curse tree. It's no wonder her curses are so formidable, and she's hard to kill. However, he could use the yin-yang bracelet to confine the curse and the power of the artifact. The curse was in the Thousand Springs River. He had to go back. At first, he had intended to solve the problem and then return. But now, he decided to take her along with him. He could simply explain that he didn't want to cause a commotion and disturb Hong Yuya. For a moment, he didn't know how to explain, but he couldn't hesitate. He deactivated the heavenly cauldron and charged forward. The mountain sea seal struck. The opponent also reacted. With a burst of power, vitality was replaced with massive strength. Boom! Powerful forces collided. Jiang Hao was thrown back. Some people had just arrived. They saw Jiang Hao being pushed back all the way back to the Thousand Springs River. Granny Kufa also arrived. She looked down at Jiang Hao. You are indeed the one who killed my grandson. If I say I just found the treasure lying around, would you believe me, senior? Jiang Hao asked. I don't believe you. Everyone makes excuses when they realize their death is near. Granny Kufa sneered. It seemed she had already figured out how to torture her opponent to death. Excuses? Jiang Hao found that somewhat amusing. Do you think the person who killed your grandson did the wrong thing? Of course he did. He killed my innocent grandson, said Granny Kufa. Innocent? Wasn't your grandson deserving of death? Jiang Hao asked. What nonsense are you talking about? Granny Kufa was angry. You killed my grandson, and you still dare to slander him like this. Ask the people around. Wasn't my grandson a good and sensible child? If he did something wrong, it must have been someone around him who led him astray. He was good. Even if he made a mistake, shouldn't he be forgiven? Why kill him so ruthlessly? He was just a child. I said I didn't kill your grandson, said Jiang Hao. But I know who did. Granny Kufa and the people around were shocked. Many people realized that they had underestimated this person. He was indeed a powerful figure. He too wasn't surprised. He just wanted to know why the person in front of him had come here. Do you really know who killed my grandson? Granny Kufa asked. Yes, and she's right here. Jiang Hao nodded. Here. Granny Kufa looked around. Who? Who killed my grandson? It's you, said Jiang Hao calmly. You indulged him, spoiled him, and never taught him right from wrong. You gave him whatever he wanted, and you took care of anyone who offended him. Your actions made him think that the whole world would yield to him. He thought that everyone should worship him. It's you. You killed your grandson. What nonsense are you talking about? Granny Kufa stared at Jiang Hao like a madwoman. You were trying to play mind games with me. You're trying to confuse me to save yourself. Jiang Hao smirked, and a blade appeared in his hands. He was ready, and the yin-yang bracelet covered the surroundings. He stepped out so fast that his movements were a blur. Granny Kufa was surprised. She finally sensed where her opponent was. Behind her. Don't turn around. A blade pierced Granny Kufa in the chest. I don't need to play mind games with you and confuse you to save myself. Granny Kufa sneered. Do you think you can kill me? If I were so easy to kill, do you think I would be so reckless? Do you rely on the longevity Thousand Hearts curse to survive? Do you want to try using it to save yourself? Jiang Hao smiled and swung his blade. She dodged the attack, but not completely. Her arm was cut off. Jiang Hao laughed and swung the blade again. His every attack drew blood. Bit by bit, parts of Granny Kufa were hacked off. Granny Kufa, once so obnoxious, was suddenly afraid. What is this? What have you done? Granny Kufa was horrified to find that her curses couldn't touch the person in front of her at all. She couldn't even use the longevity Thousand Hearts curse through her treasure. Without the treasures, the power of the curse wouldn't spread out. All her winning cards had failed. How could this be? Jiang Hao leaped into the air and looked down at her. He slowly raised the blade in his hand. He used the second form of the heavenly blade, mountain suppression. Don't struggle, and don't bother asking why this is happening. My arrival means your death. That's all. With the blessing of the mountain sea seal, the mountain suppression technique became formidable. Boom! With one stroke, The mighty force of the mountain and sea pressed down. Granny Kufa was horrified as the momentum overwhelmed her. Then, she fell unconscious to the ground. Her body shattered and scattered in the wind. The thunderous blow silenced everyone. The terrifying power made everyone tremble with fear. This was definitely not an ordinary senior. It was no wonder this person had walked so casually along the mountain path. He was here for the kill. Chapter 856. Meeting the person who killed Granny Kufa. Jiang Hao killed Granny Kufa. At the place where her body shattered, a sapling emerged. It was the longevity Thousand Hearts curse. He knew this wasn't a normal sapling when he reached out for it. It was a magical item in the shape of a sapling. It was too bad that he couldn't take it along with him. He could have gotten bubbles out of it. He checked it. There was no dust on it. He was disappointed. There was no way he could wipe it to get bubbles. Even under the Heavenly Blades mountain suppression, the curses hadn't dissipated. It seemed like they were still trying to escape. Jiang Hao sensed the longevity Thousand Hearts curse everywhere. Without hesitation, he let the purple aura enter the magical item and interfered with the curse. In an instant, the curse shattered. At that moment, the surrounding curses seemed to lose their intensity. With a wave of his hand, Jiang Hao suppressed the curse with the Mountain Sea seal. He searched for the storage treasure and put it away when he found it. He checked to make sure everything was fine. Then, he retrieved the yin-yang bracelet. Granny Kufa was dead. However, just as he landed, he felt that the Mountain Sea seal seemed to have triggered something else. It was very subtle. It might have been a clue related to the sage's pages. He had to wait there for a while. However, it didn't seem to be in line with Gu Jin's identity. When Gu Jin was young, he might have been full of pride and ambition, but also kind and generous. If he wanted to disguise himself, he had to be careful. Gu Jin's name carried too much weight and attracted a lot of attention. He dared not use it lightly. At that moment, the people around looked at each other in disbelief. Granny Kufa was dead. Granny Kufa isn't really dead, is she? Someone asked. I saw before. Her curses always caused a rampage and then exploded. Granny Kufa would always laugh mockingly after a fight. But this time she didn't. She might really have died this time, said a woman in the crowd. At that moment, an old man with a significantly powerful cultivation realm said, I also saw it. Whenever someone tried to kill Granny Kufa, she always managed to escape in the end. She was difficult to catch. But this time, a sapling has appeared where she was. I think that is her treasure. She was always prideful and reckless because of that thing. She might actually be dead. Everyone fell silent. It felt unreal that Granny Kufa had died. The notorious Granny Kufa, who was fearless and difficult to kill, had died. Some people still felt that Granny Kufa might appear at any moment. If she had died this easily, it meant the major sects were useless. Jiang Hao didn't pay attention to their words. Instead, he walked straight to Hong Yuye. She was quietly sipping tea and waiting. Just as Jiang Hao tried to sit in one of the chairs, she raised her head and looked at him. Disdain appeared in her calm eyes. Jiang Hao showed her the longevity Thousand Hearts curse that was sealed in a purple sphere that hovered on his palm. Do all unlucky things like to run to you? Hong Yuye asked. Senior, you're joking. The cultivation world is dangerous. That means unlucky things are everywhere. I don't have an affinity with them, said Jiang Hao. He also felt that he got entangled with ominous things one too many times. But he couldn't admit it. Hong Yuye looked at him carefully. She didn't say anything. Instead, she lowered her head and sipped her tea. Jiang Hao also sat down and drank September Spring. He had bought 8 packs of it. Now, only 7 remained. It would be challenging to buy it in the next 10 years. At least, he wasn't sure if he could buy it in such a remote place like the Heavenly Note sect. After they sat down, some people began to leave. Soon, the news of Granny Kufa's death spread like wildfire. Many people didn't believe it. However, when they dug deeper, they found out that Granny Kufa's heavenly connection had disappeared. Forces related to Granny Kufa had completely vanished overnight. 3 days later, anyone who was close to Granny Kufa disappeared from their areas. Those who were not close to her, but were still connected to her, declared that they were never on good terms with Granny Kufa. Everyone was now sure that Granny Kufa was really dead. It was a fact that they couldn't ignore. The arrogant old woman was finally dead. Many people were curious about the killer. A middle-aged man walked out of his hut in the ancient river sect. He had been in seclusion for many years. He had heard about Granny Kufa's demise, so he wanted to make sure. "Master," said a man, "is it true that Granny Kufa was killed?" The middle-aged man asked. "Indeed." The man in his 30s nodded. "Where did it happen?" "At the Thousand Springs River. Fetch me a portion of the sect's best tea." "Understood." A moment later, the middle-aged man departed on his flying sword. Meanwhile, in the ancient city, Jing Dajiang was surprised. Why have so many people been spreading the news about Granny Kufa's death? Who is Granny Kufa? "I don't know." His two old companions shook their heads. "It seems like many people want to meet the person who killed her. Since we're free, let's go take a look." "Let's go and check it out," Jing Dajiang said. "Granny Kufa is a junior, right? Why should we bother?" asked the bearded man. "Let's go see who the person is. What if it's a wandering cultivator? They might have wanted to attract attention that way," Jing Dajiang said with a smile. The two old men nodded. After that, they headed toward the Thousand Springs River. "Is there a rumor that there's information about the sage's pages there?" Jing Dajiang asked. "Yes." The beardless old man nodded. The three people became even more interested. Down at the Thousand Springs River, a middle-aged man who had previously traded with Jiang Hao looked up. He was astonished. This fellow cultivator is unexpectedly powerful. He walked toward him. He wanted to make another trade with the person. Based on their previous exchange, Jiang Hao didn't seem like someone who robbed others of their treasure. So, there shouldn't be any harm in trading now. Jiang Hao suddenly looked up from his cup of tea. Jiang Hao was quite surprised. "Senior," Jiang Hao politely said. "Friend, please don't misunderstand. I'm only here for a trade," said the middle-aged man. Jiang Hao felt bitter. "I don't even have spirit stones." Then, he thought of Granny Kufa's storage treasure that he had picked up earlier. He checked it and smiled. "Senior, please have a seat." "I've already bought all I need." Lu Mantian smiled. Jiang Hao didn't say much, but changed the topic. "Friend Lu, regarding the information about the ancient scrolls, what have you observed?" "Nothing." Lu Mantian shook his head. "I heard that the water in the sea-sky forest is finally under control, but there are still some corpses inside. They are currently being subdued, but the cause remains unknown." Jiang Hao nodded. It seemed like there was really no major problem there. The corpses were truly waking in the west. After that, Lu Mantian got up and left. Jiang Hao waited. These days, the mountain sea seal was concealing the surroundings, and something would happen soon. After that, Jiang Hao drank the tea and listened to the sound of the river. No one came to disturb him. It was quite peaceful. The next day, a middle-aged man arrived at the Thousand Springs River. "I am Ji Qing from the ancient river sect," said the middle-aged man who stood in front of Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao was surprised. This person was powerful. So, he invited him to sit. "I've come to deliver some things," Ji Qing said as he put a box of tea leaves on the table. "These are the tea leaves from our sect. I hope you like them." Jiang Hao was puzzled. "I heard that you killed Granny Kufa. I had a grudge with her, but couldn't kill her. It's unexpected, but nice that you managed to do that. Please accept this as a small token of appreciation," said Ji Qing politely. Jiang Hao opened the pack of tea leaves and saw a unique aura on them. There was no fragrance, but there was a type of coolness to them. Even the circulation of spiritual energy became smoother. The tea leaves seemed to be of good quality. It wasn't inferior to September Spring at all. If it was of such a good quality, the price might be higher too. If the tea was like September Spring and could heal injuries, it would cost even more. All the senior cultivators not only required excellent tea leaves, but also a good taste. Otherwise, they wouldn't have it. "Senior, you are too kind," said Jiang Hao politely. He could go without buying tea leaves for a long time. He had gained a lot on this trip. It was indeed useful to have strength on one side. If it wasn't enough, it would be disastrous. Jiqing asked about Granny Kufa. He felt quite emotional. The person he wanted to kill had ended up dead. It made him somewhat sentimental. After that, he stood up, bowed to Jiang Hao, and left. Jiang Hao stood up and bowed in return. Once the other person left, he felt it was about time. The force condensed by the mountain sea seal was almost complete. It seemed like he could leave now. Following this path, he could reach the mountain river valley to check on Zhang and fulfill her request. At the mountain god village, a young woman smiled. Senior Baizhu, are you planning to go into the mountains? Just call me Senior Sister, said Baizhu, who looked as young as the mountain princess. Xiao, he stood on the side. She wasn't surprised. It seemed like Princess Baizhu never grew old. She looked the same when she was 18. Even after several hundred years, she remained the same. Then, you can call me Xiao Jie, Chu Jie said. Let's go inside, Baizhu said. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment was more pleasant than he had expected. Although she couldn't feel many changes, staying by her side made her cultivation smooth. It was no wonder Chu Jie had advanced so quickly. It was truly unbelievable. Be careful. There are many wild beasts here, said a hunter. Chu Jie smiled in response. Then, the group walked toward the mountain. When they reached the mountainside, the hunters stopped. They didn't follow inside. This was the territory of the mountain god. They didn't dare continue forward. Only the mountain princess could do so. After that, Baizhu and the other two continued to climb up the mountain. On the way, they saw a cave. This is it, Chu Jie said. It gives off a very violent aura. Xiao, he said in concern. If the aura went out of control, she had no way of surviving it. It's all right. Let's go in, or it'll become even more violent, said Chu Jie with a smile. Chapter 858. This child must be from our academy. When did you discover this place, Xiao Jie? Baizhu asked while she walked along an illuminated passage. As Chu Jie walked ahead, a pure white bird flew beside her. The temperature around them dropped. A dim light was cast into the distance. When I was flying on my sword, I passed by and saw flames here. I sensed a powerful force and tried to intervene. I realized that I could stabilize the force, so I flew down. I didn't know it would take a while, said Chu Jie. Isn't it a waste of time? Baizhu asked. She wondered if Chu Jie's powers could be used for something more important. Waste of time. Chu Jie smiled. I never had a purpose to begin with, but now I do. So, how could this be a waste of time if it's helping someone? Baizhu nodded and didn't say much. After that, they arrived at a huge cave. The flames rolled, and beneath them, a powerful force stirred. Above the flames, there was a clear force that absorbed everything. Chu Jie walked to the center of the flames and sat cross-legged on the ground. She absorbed the raging force. As time passed, a gentle force emanated from her. It gathered above. The Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment slowly absorbed the violent force. Finally, it hovered above. Baizhu looked surprised. This process was not easy, and Chu Jie absorbed the force, neutralized, and condensed it. Baizhu felt that it was a waste of her talent. As the sun was about to set, the violent aura diminished significantly. Although it was still surging, it wouldn't harm anything. Chu Jie stood up and walked out of the magma. Baizhu couldn't help but ask, Aren't you going to take that force for yourself? Chu Jie looked up and shook her head with a smile. No need. Why? Xiao Yi asked. Because it's useless to me. Absorbing it would be a waste. It's better to leave it for those who need it. Chu Jie replied. Useless? Xiao Yi found it hard to believe. Absorbing this pure force would significantly enhance one's cultivation realm. How could it be useless? She didn't know how to respond. But if you leave it here, what if someone evil comes here and absorbs such power? Wouldn't that be a waste? Baizhu asked. Chu Jie thought for a moment and said, Let's say there are 100 people in the village. Let's say that 50 people are good while the other 50 are evil. If there was some danger, would you choose to save only the good ones? Baizhu frowned. Chu Jie smiled. Good and evil are just that. If you only see evil, you'll decide to leave them to die without a thought. If you feel that the people are good, you will save them without a thought. At the end of the day, it's a choice. There are consequences to everything we do. Bai Zhu was stunned. Xiao, he felt taken aback. It's almost time. The uncles will be waiting for us. Let's go, said Chu Jia. Jiang Hao sensed it. There was a presence here. He looked up at the sky. The mountain sea seal had faded away. A bright white light shone down, and 4 pieces of jade appeared on it. Jiang Hao reached out to grab them. The 3 people who had just arrived also saw the 4 jade pieces. They felt a strong, ancient aura. It was extraordinary. What is this? Jing Dajiang was astonished. The aura of the ancient pages. Grab them. The bearded old man said immediately. The 3 people took action. Jiang Hao was startled. The terrifying aura seemed to want to crush him. The 3 people each grabbed a piece. Jiang Hao dared not think too much and reached for the last piece. Soon, the jade pendant was bound by his power and began to fall. However, the other 3, although bound, suddenly flickered. The 3 jade pieces broke free from the restraint and rushed into the sky. This sudden change surprised Jiang Hao. Those 3 people were not ordinary. Why couldn't they catch the pieces? The jade pendants of fortune. 4 of them. D*M in it. Why so many? Jing Dajiang complained. 1 piece is missing, the bearded old man said. The 3 were surprised. They looked above the 1,000 Spirits River. What they saw surprised them. The person there had a plain face and an ordinary appearance, but light shone around him. The earth glittered brightly where he stood. The surroundings seemed vibrant somehow. His every move could make or break the West. All things centered around him. For a moment, they felt that this extraordinary person was from the ancient land. It was awe-inspiring. In an instant, the feeling vanished. What they saw was a restrained divine light and a powerful being with a calm aura that could soothe all things. This child must be from our astronomical academy. Jing Dajiang exclaimed. What they had felt couldn't be wrong. This person had extraordinary talent. There's something off about him. It's a pity the chef disappeared. Otherwise, we could have caught her and questioned her. She looked at him quite closely that time. The beardless old man said in regret. He is holding the jade pendant of fortune. He's definitely not an ordinary person. Let's go and greet him, Jing Dajiang said. Then, the 3 instantly disappeared and arrived above the 1,000 Springs River. Hidu was astonished, but was frightened by the arrival of Jing Dajiang and others. He was honored to see such powerful elders here. But why had they come here? Are you from the Astronomical Academy, fellow disciple? Jing Dajiang shouted. The people below were surprised. So, this person was from the Astronomical Academy. It was no wonder he could casually kill Granny Kufa. Jiang Hao stood still in place. When he saw Jing Dajiang and the others, he was stunned. That vast aura left him in shock. What level of power is this? Why does he think him from the Astronomical Academy? Senior, who are you? Jiang Hao clenched his fist. He didn't want to reveal his identity. I am Jing Dajiang. You don't need to call me senior. You can call me Dajiang, said Jing Dajiang. May I ask who you are? Gu, said Jiang Hao. Jing Dajiang. Jiang Hao realized he was a big shot from the academy. Why is such a person outside the academy right now? But it seemed Jing Dajiang couldn't see through him like Lu Ying had done. It seemed the chef of the noodle shop was indeed extraordinary. Even such a powerful person didn't immediately know he was Gu Jin. He breathed a sigh of relief. This was good. Gu. For a moment, the 3 were somewhat surprised. They thought about the convergence of the ancient and the modern world. Jing Dajiang tried to see through the person in front of him, but couldn't. He was unable to see who this person was. He decided to find out more. In any case, he would try to take him to the Astronomical Academy first. Chapter 859. Journey with Jing Dajiang. Lu Mantian walked on the road and continued forward. He looked at the surroundings as if searching for something. He was deep in thought. At that moment, he took out a spirit stone. He bit into it and swallowed it. Suddenly, the sky rumbled. A white light soared in the sky. It was a jade pendant. Lu Mantian watched the jade pendant fly through the air. He smiled softly. He continued onward. Meanwhile, In the mountain god village, after leaving the cave with Chu Jie, Baizhu enjoyed a nice dinner prepared by the villagers. Baizhu suddenly realized something. She had never cared whether these people were good or evil because it had nothing to do with her. She had just passed through this village and needed a place to stay. She didn't care whether they were good or evil because it was of no use to her. The reason was that they couldn't hurt her, irrespective of whether they were good people or not. So, she had never thought of them as anyone of use or as a threat. It seems I was too self-absorbed. It looks like I'm not suitable for the four-grade emptiness, after all. Baizhu laughed. At night, she and Chu Jie sat in the courtyard and gazed at the starry sky. They enjoyed the peace of the night sky. Is your cultivation advancing smoothly? Baizhu suddenly asked. In this world, there probably isn't anyone who has as much advantage as me, said Chu Jie. I feel that as people gain something, they lose something as well. I have some thoughts about what I would lose. But ITLL be my choice. Isn't it too soon? You're still so young, Baizhu sighed. How old are you, senior sister Baizhu? I just turned 18 last year. Oh, I'm in my 20s. Xiao, he was bewildered. She couldn't believe Chu Jie was in her 20s. She didn't look like she was lying. Was it really possible for a 20-year-old to be in the primordial spirit realm? Suddenly, a bright light flashed through the sky. The three saw two streaks of light whizzing by. What is that? Baizhu asked. The lights had come and gone too quickly. Baizhu wanted to ask again, but the lights seemed to return. A white jade pendant fell in front of Chu Jie, and another circled around Baizhu. It looked unsure whether she was the right person. Baizhu frowned. She didn't feel like she wanted this pendant. Things related to the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment weren't for someone as ordinary as her. Suddenly, the white jade pendant hesitated and then fell in front of Baizhu. It seemed to have made its mind. What is this? Chu Jie asked. Baizhu thought of what Lu Ying had said before. In the vortex of fate, both she and the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment were involved. In the Thousand Springs River, Jiang Hao looked at the three people. He was unsure what to say to them. He couldn't tell them he was Gu Jin. It would attract too much attention. Disciple Gu, you have obtained the Jade Pendant of Fortune. It seems something big is going to happen, said Jing Dajiang solemnly. These things don't appear often, but when they do, it means something big is going to happen. It might be related to the sage's pages. Can it guide me to find them? Jiang Hao asked curiously. Maybe. We didn't get one, so we don't know, said Jing Dajiang. Seniors, none of you could catch it? Jiang Hao asked. Yes, said Jing Dajiang. Every major event will affect the situation in the West. Only those involved in the vortex of fate can catch it. Jiang Hao understood. It seemed that there were 4 people in the vortex. He nodded and didn't say anything more. He could only take one step at a time. Going back was almost impossible, so he had to go forward. As long as he avoided the corpses, there should be no major problems. If he completed his tasks and left the West, no one would come after him. Moreover, the havoc the corpses create in the West might not affect the South. What are your plans for the future, Disciple Gu? Jing Dajiang asked. I plan to visit the Mountain River Valley, Jiang Hao said truthfully. Jing Dajiang was delighted. It seems we all have something in common with the Academy. The 3 of us are also planning to make a trip there. Let's go together. Jiang Hao felt that this person always tried to repeatedly mention the Academy. He was supposed to be from the Academy, so he didn't object. After that, he left with Hong Yuya. Jing Dajiang and the others followed. The people around them were surprised. The news of Senior Gu killing Granny Kufa had spread like wildfire. Those who had refused to believe it now accepted it as a fact. Some major sects felt much better knowing someone from the Astronomical Academy had killed Granny Kufa. Otherwise, they would have lost all respect if she had been killed by some ordinary cultivator. Everyone was pleased. 3 days later, around late July, outside the Mountain River Valley sect, the astronomical scroll revolved around a black sphere. It emitted a faint aura. It had been several months. Many people felt that the person inside was going to die because the death aura kept leaking out. The corruption and darkness corrupted almost everything. Even with the astronomical scroll, it was useless. People occasionally attacked it. They had no intention of leaving. It's been so long, and so many people are still attacking the sphere. It seems that Dole has offended many people, Senior Sister Lin said. The others didn't feel anything. Dole was just an ordinary disciple. If he died, no one would care much. That was the outcome of getting involved with the Astronomical Academy. If one didn't have such great strength, it was better to stay away from people who did. Otherwise, the consequences would be dire. Jiang Hao flew on his sword and finally landed on a distant hillside. He looked for the fallen aura. The demonic aura is so intense. Zhang was already on the brink. She might actually succumb to it. Was there a way to help her? I remember there was someone trying to probe the inside of that dark sphere, but they were trapped, said Jing Dajiang. Then, he took Jiang Hao to the nearby woods. A man stood frozen there. It was Guan Zhongfei. Jiang Hao felt quite sentimental meeting him here again. Chapter 860. If you don't kill them, who will? Guan Zhongfei still bore the mark of the Mountain Sea seal. Jiang Hao had deliberately left them to scare him. He could retrieve it, but he was in no hurry. He seems to be trapped. He probably saw or heard something he shouldn't have, said the beardless old man. The end of all things? Jiang Hao looked toward the black sphere. Not only them. The great Thousand God sect is also involved, said Jing Dajiang. They can be quite annoying. What is her inner demon? Jiang Hao asked. You can go in and see for yourself. Jing Dajiang approached Guan Zhongfei. Normally, we wouldn't check it rashly. But this person happened to witness it at the right time, so we can make use of that. Jing Dajiang placed his hand on Guan Zhongfei's shoulder. He then flicked his hand and cast a spell that covered everyone. Immediately, Jiang Hao felt the surroundings change. Soon, they appeared in a place where a scholar was reading something aloud. It was the Astronomical Academy. A young woman in her 20s walked while joyfully reading a book. She looked dignified yet gentle. Jiang Hao and the others followed her. They arrived at a simple house. It was the young woman's house. It was clean and well organized. She approached the desk, where books and ink were neatly placed. She sat down with a smile and began writing a letter. Mother, Father, are you both doing well? Are you taking the medicine I sent you? I bought some more spirit medicine that can cure hidden illnesses. Let me share some good news with you. I feel I can break through the Golden Core realm soon. Once I do, you'll use the Academy's teleportation array to return. It may be half a month later than expected, but that's okay. By then, you'll be able to see your daughter at the Golden Core realm. Please don't push yourselves. If there's anything, wait for me to come back and help. I'm in good health now and can handle all the farm work. The young woman smiled softly as she wrote the letter. She used the Academy's flying sword system to send the letter. Once done, she walked into a room and started cultivating. After a little over a month, the young woman emerged from the closed room again. She looked excited. She had made it to the early stage of the Golden Core realm. Jiang Hao and the others watched silently. How could there be positive memories in an inner demon? As they watched her leave, Jiang Hao and the others followed. She spent all the Academy points in exchange for a round trip. The teleportation array didn't lead to her home, but to a city. It would take about half a day to fly there, but for her, that was no longer a problem. She went to the city. She bought some delicious food, some tools, and some clothes. Only then did she use her sword to return. Jiang Hao watched her. Her joy at getting to meet her family again was apparent on her face. However, halfway through, chaos unfolded. What should have been a village was now a sea of fire. Her heart sank. She descended hastily to investigate. She saw an elderly man screaming frantically at the edge of the inferno, as if he had lost his mind. Demons. They're all demons. Please don't kill me. The young woman froze. Demons? How could that be? There are no demonic sects nearby. She would have never let her parents stay if there was a danger of demonic sects here. She didn't feel good. Without hesitation, she activated her golden core power and used her sword to return. Her cheerful mood was replaced by anxiety. Jiang Hao and the others followed in silence. Her speed was swift, but she heard more screams as she got closer to her parents' house. Cultivators slaughtered everyone who got in their way. The young woman looked down. She gritted her teeth and flew toward her home. Soon, she arrived at her mountain village. She looked at her home. The protective barrier was broken, and a man with a long sword had killed an old couple. No, stop. The young woman rushed over to them. The man laughed as though he enjoyed killing innocent people. Her golden core aura erupted. Boom! The young woman forced everyone around her to retreat. She rushed to the old woman's side. The middle-aged man was already dying. Mother, father. She took out some pills in a panic. She fed them the healing pills. Her father couldn't swallow them, and her mother coughed and vomited them out. The young woman tried to use her golden core aura to try and heal them. However, it was all in vain. They were beyond saving. Why isn't it working? Why? Tears streamed down her face. Mother, I bought rouge for you. It's the one you like. The young woman turned to the dying man. Father, you wanted to go hunting, right? I bought you a bow and some arrows. I bought clothes too. Mother, please. At that moment, someone flew over on a sword. What a pretty girl. Let's take her with us. The young woman looked up in rage. A storm of murderous intent swept over like a hurricane. The sudden force frightened the newcomer, and he stepped back in fear. He then turned and fled. Her killing intent had risen. She wanted to kill everyone there. However, at that moment, a blood-stained hand suddenly lifted and touched her. Don't look at them like that, said a weak voice. Mother, how can I save you? There's no need for that. The old woman looked at her. Don't cry. You look undignified. I don't want to look dignified right now, Mother. I want you to be safe. The young woman wiped her tears away. Have you advanced in your cultivation? Asked the woman. I don't want the golden core realm if it's useless to save you. If only I'd come here sooner, you would have been fine. If I hadn't stopped to shop, I could have saved you. The young woman was heartbroken. If only she could have arrived sooner. We won't be gone, said the old woman. We'll watch over you. We'll watch you grow into a powerful woman. You might not be able to see us, but we'll always be there. I don't want that. I went to the academy so that I could give you a better life. I want to watch you grow old and happy. I don't want this. The young woman shook her head. Her hurt was replaced by blind rage again. Are you angry? Said a voice. You should be. Those who killed your parents live a happy and carefree life. They watch you mockingly. For them, killing your parents was nothing. Nothing. Shut up, shouted the young woman. Shut up? The one who should shut up is you. Your parents gave birth to you, raised you, struggled for you, and gave up everything. Have you forgotten the time when you were sick? They knelt and begged the entire village just to gather enough money for your treatment. Have you forgotten the time when you wanted to study? They worked hard day and night just to earn a little more for you to have an education. Have you forgotten how you entered the academy? They carried you through mountains and rivers. Your father injured his leg on the way, yet he managed to take you to the academy on time. Now they're dead. What have you done for them? You don't dare to act recklessly so you can be safe. You hide and endure. You're a disappointment. If you have no strength, I'll lend you mine. Get up, pick your sword, and look. Look at the faces of those murderers. If you don't kill them, who will? The voice echoed in the surroundings, and the words struck her heart like knives. Chapter 861. On the way to immortality, the voice left the young woman unsure. The sword had already appeared in her hand, but her mother wouldn't let go of her. Don't be angry. Don't think about revenge. I'll only destroy you, said the old woman. The young woman looked down at the blood-stained face of her mother. Listen to me, my daughter. Your father and I have lived for a long time. Our only wish is to see you grow. Hatred will make you lose your humanity. It'll become a hurdle in your path of knowledge, said the old woman as her pale face regained its radiance. It was as though life had returned to her body. Promise me, said the old woman as she held onto her tightly. You disappointed your parents, said the voice again. The young woman found herself in a dilemma. It's all right. Don't be rash. I'll watch over you, my daughter. Your father and I will be there for you always. Everything will be fine, said the old woman tenderly. The young woman looked at her parents. Her anger was replaced by tears. It streamed down her face. She put down the sword in her hand and hugged her mother tightly. "Mother," she sobbed, "I forgot. I forgot so many things. I never go against your words. I have always listened to you. I have never done things in hatred or spite. I'll continue to do what you have taught me. Mother, father, I miss you so much. It's okay. We are always with you," said the old woman and patted her on the shoulders. "Remember, study well. Don't forget to eat on time. And don't ever let anyone bully you." "I will. Don't worry. Nobody bullies me. I promise," said the young woman and cried. "How are your studies?" asked the woman gently. "It's good. I'm going to be an immortal soon." "Immortal?" The old woman paled. "Like those mighty immortals who wreaked havoc here?" "No." The young woman looked at her mother. "I'll never be like them. I'll still be me. I still am the same young woman who wanted to protect and shield you. I'll stay here and protect this place. An ordinary immortal? Silly girl. You shouldn't stay here. You should go out. You belong to the vast world outside." The young woman shook her head. "I don't want to. I never wanted to become an immortal in the eyes of the world. I studied and entered the academy just to become an immortal for our family. I wanted to become stronger for you and father. I don't need anyone's approval. I just want to be here and protect you, keep you safe." At that moment, the old woman's face turned pale. She looked at her daughter. "Is it difficult to become an immortal?" "Yes." "Then your father and I will help you. We'll help you get there." Then she closed her eyes. In the next moment, her body began to disperse. It turned into a beam of light and soared into the sky. At the same time, the middle-aged man beside her also turned into a beam of light. She could feel a hand patting her head. After that, they both rushed toward the sky. They dispelled the darkness and illuminated a path leading to the heavens. At the edge of the path, there was a faint light. It prevented the darkness from engulfing everything. The young woman stood up and looked toward the sky. At that moment, the ground beneath her feet shattered, and a new path was forged to immortality. "How is this possible? What about your inner demon?" Someone exclaimed in the dark. "Are you really going to watch your parents die? Don't you care about them? Don't you regret it?" The young woman looked up at the two beams of light. "How can my parents harm me? They love me the most. You only see some things and twist them. You don't see how they sacrifice for me, so I would be a better person. They raised me well. You don't understand what a parent's love feels like. But I forgot so much, so much. The more I listen to you, the deeper I sink into the abyss. But my mother saw everything." The young woman smiled and stepped forward. At that moment, the world changed, and a dazzling light enveloped everything. "I can accept everything about myself, be it good or evil. I don't care if I'm admired or despised. I can accept it all. For me, this is who I am, and there's no use in escaping myself. The only thing I was worried about was my parents scolding." Every step the young woman took rejuvenated the earth. She seemed to have found peace. But they didn't scold me. Not all. In an instant, the scene changed. Time flowed rapidly. The village was rebuilt, and the young woman walked to the grave. It was the grave of her parents. She leaned down and cleared away some weeds. She then lit some incense. She opened her mouth to say something, but couldn't find the words. Tears streamed down her face. Things changed and people changed. Nothing lasted. Jianghao watched all this. "Father, mother, I'm leaving," said the young woman with a smile. After that, she stepped into the sky. She walked toward immortality. "That is not possible." "How did you do it?" said a voice from the shadows. Jing Dajiang sighed. She has never really dug deeper into her emotions. It seems she has done it now. Has she really let go of her hatred? Jiang Hao asked curiously. "Let go." Jing Dajiang shook his head with a smile. If she had done that, she wouldn't have come here. Jiang Hao was surprised. I asked around. When her parents were killed, she was taken over by her inner demon. When the people from the academy found her, she was covered in wounds and drenched in blood, Jing Dajiang said. After that, they found out that this young woman had gone crazy. Fueled by hatred, she killed all the demonic sect members around her. She had even managed to kill primordial spirit realm cultivators around her. It is said that the sky was filled with blood and a strong, killing intent, as if someone had entered the path of slaughter. Not a single demonic sect cultivator was spared. That would mean the end for her. But somehow, she was found at her parents' grave the next day. She forgot everything when she woke up. She only remembered that she had obeyed her mother and let go of her hatred. But the seed of the inner demon still remained in her heart, and once there was an opportunity to become an immortal, the heart demon would take root and sprout. Jiang Hao was surprised. How did she do it? It was somewhat extraordinary that she had forgotten everything, especially since she had also forgotten about becoming an immortal. The inner demon was suppressed until the end. It was incredible. There are two explanations. 1. She is extraordinary. 2. A powerful figure must have passed by and couldn't bear to see her suffer. So they helped her out, Jing Dajiang said. Chapter 862. Ascending to immortality beyond the mountains and rivers. Many people were still paying attention to the dark sphere, even though it had been many years. In recent days, the number of people watching had increased. Everyone could sense that the aura of death was spreading. The sphere was about to dissipate. Most people wanted to witness the death of the person inside the sphere. Some wanted Dole, while others wanted the one from the Astronomical Academy to fail. Regardless, there were very few who hoped for those inside to come out alive. Some of Dole's seniors didn't want him to live either, because they knew that Dole might become even more powerful because of the person from the Astronomical Academy. It was human nature to feel like that. Even on the cultivation path, such things always affected people if they weren't mature enough. Senior Sister Lin looked outside. She felt complicated. She didn't know Dole too well, but he had given her some spirit stones. If he died, the spirit stones would be hers. If he lived, she had to return the spirit stones. That wasn't a problem at all for her. She was curious about Dole. If he managed to survive, she would gladly return the spirit stones and extend a hand of friendship. Perhaps one day, she might need him. She realized that she was judging a person based on their usefulness, just like everyone else. She thought she wouldn't be like that, but it seemed everyone was defined by what they could offer. Unfortunately, it seemed Dole might not survive. Darkness had already covered everything. Dole is doomed. I knew it would come to this, said a man smugly. We should take this as a lesson. Associating with an immortal sect is not always a good thing, said a woman. Others nodded in agreement. Senior Sister Lin shook her head. There were also people in the Mountain River Valley sect who were secretly watching the dark sphere. His vitality was about to dissipate. Some sighed, while others rejoiced. Just then, the vitality in the high sky dissipated. It seemed that everyone inside was about to die. If Dole didn't die, he would come out soon. Those targeting Dole were ready to deliver a fatal blow. Crack! The black sphere began to crack, and the astronomical scroll descended slowly. Many lowered their heads and sighed. It was finally over. However, just as some were about to take action, a faint light emerged from the cracks. Then, the light spread throughout the black sphere. It felt as if the black sphere was about to erupt with light. After that, the colors of the world changed, and a celestial energy gathered. A heavenly path appeared in the sky. It dazzled everyone. The path of immortality attacked the black sphere. Boom! The black sphere erupted. A figure manifested in the sky. She stood there as if she were a goddess from ninth heaven. Beside her was an unconscious man. Yin Yuezhi bowed and then stepped into the sky. She embarked on the path of immortality. Everyone was in shock. Dole was unconscious, but he was still within the range of the immortal path. Even being there was enormously beneficial for him. At that moment, those who had intended to make a move retreated. They didn't dare to linger there. The person from the Astronomical Academy had succeeded. No one dared to go after Dole now. If someone dared to do that, the one from the Astronomical Academy would annihilate their entire bloodline. Many people were reluctant to act. They knew this woman would come for revenge. The disciples of the Mountain River Valley sect were astonished. They wished they were in Dole's shoes right now. Senior Sister Lin breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed she would get to know Dole a bit more. Many in the sect thought the same. Even those who had mocked and insulted him before wanted to get to know him. Even the sect master didn't think Dole was this fortunate. Guan Zhongfei also woke up. He had been trapped all this while. He thought he'd seen a lot, but he couldn't remember properly. He was amazed to find that Dole hadn't died, but had gained significant opportunities. He felt something strange. The marks on his body seemed to have disappeared. He checked all around. At that moment, he found a book beside him. It recorded a technique. There was also a note attached to it. We use your gaze. This is a gift for you. Guan Zhongfei felt nervous. He instantly thought of smiling Sansheng. Is it him? The one from the Astronomical Academy had succeeded, and Dole had gained even more opportunities. Guan Zhongfei wondered if smiling Sansheng had intervened. He broke into a cold sweat. He had done everything smiling Sansheng had told him to do. Otherwise, it would have been disastrous. Jiang Hao and his group had already left, but the distant immortal path was still visible. Jiang Hao sighed with emotion. After making sure everything was okay, they left. The great Thousand God sect and the end of all things had no connection with them. Jing Dajiang wanted to follow them, but decided not to. Jiang Hao asked him why. With the jade pendant of fortune in your hands, a vortex is about to form. It's better not to get too close. The three of them left reluctantly. They asked if Jiang Hao had brought any identity tokens from the academy. Jiang Hao shook his head. Then a piece of paper fell into his hand, with the words backyard written on it. There was also a passage that he couldn't see clearly. This kind of token was quite remarkable. Finally, Jing Dajiang said, "Friend, don't lose it again." He then left. Jiang Hao didn't reject it. The identity of Gu Jin was troublesome, but there were advantages too. The jade pendant of fortune seemed to be related to the sage's pages. Perhaps he would be the one to find those pages. The vortex is about to form, Hong Yuye said suddenly. Jiang Hao was puzzled. The jade pendant of fortune is even more extraordinary than lucky treasures. Do you think someone lacking luck and karma will give up? Hong Yuye asked. Jiang Hao thought of something. The corpses might come to seize the jade pendant or the person holding it. He realized that he could practice and comprehend better with the jade pendant in his hand. That was a good thing. He wondered if it could be used to digest the divine soul of the Holy Master. If it could, he would save a lot of spirit stones. Chapter 863. It seems like Gu Jin is gone if the laid pendant of fortune can digest the divine soul of the Holy Master and could be used with a clear and pure heart ability. That would be great, but I need to find a place to try it out. There was no city nearby. Jiang Hao stopped near a big lake. Senior, let's rest here for a while. The view was great. As soon as he arrived, Jiang Hao started making tea. Do you still remember your parents? Hong Yuye suddenly asked. I do, Jiang Hao said cautiously while making tea. Were they good to you? Hong Yuye asked again. Jiang Hao paused. He knew Hong Yuye was asking him that because of Zhang. After thinking for a moment, he said, they were okay, but not too great. Sometimes they were good to him, but other times they were neglectful. They did provide him with food and raised him. As he grew older, he began to appreciate the goodness of people. He slowly forgot their flaws and was filled with nostalgia. Do you think the girl reached far because of her parents? Hong Yuye asked. Do you mean from beginning? Jiang Hao asked. Yes. Hong Yuye nodded. Jiang Hao thought for a moment. I think she probably had good parents. Human emotions are sometimes very strange. They're like a double-edged sword. Emotions can accomplish great things that might seem impossible, but they can also make things difficult. When someone is alone in the world, they can achieve many things, but can get lonely. It might feel peaceful, but one will feel too alone in the world. There will be no inner peace. Is that so? Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao. What kind of person are you? Jiang Hao was stunned. His parents had long disappeared, and he dared not get too involved with others. Surviving was already difficult for him, and it was just too easy to offend people. If he got too involved with someone, it would harm them too. Shally had been targeted before. If she weren't talented, the consequences would have been dire. After hesitating for a moment, he said, I am the type of person who wants to walk alone. Hong Yuye Red Rain Leaf looked at the person in front of her. She continued drinking her tea. Jiang Hao breathed a sigh of relief. He had no answer to some questions. Fortunately, he didn't have to answer them. He walked to the side and began to examine the jade pendant of fortune. He wanted to see what the limits of the pendant were. But before that, he first looked at the tea leaves that were gifted to him. There were only 10 packs left. He already had 10 more packs of September Spring. For the next 10 years, he wouldn't run out of good tea. He could even drink it twice a year. He no longer hesitated. Jiang Hao took out the divine soul of the Holy Master, then drew a formation and replaced the spirit stones with the jade pendant of fortune. He activated the formation. Jiang Hao felt the divine soul of the Holy Master separated by the jade pendant of fortune. It then melted into his body. It wasn't as fast as using spirit stones, but it was enough. He could use 10,000 a day. It would last him 10 days. In just 80 days, he could completely absorb the divine soul of the Holy Master. By then, the mountain sea seal would become stronger. As long as the divine soul of the Holy Master was there to be devoured, it might become the strongest ability. With the heavenly blade blessed by such a seal, the power would be astonishing. Jiang Hao was excited. He felt like he could stay here for 2 months. But it wasn't possible. He didn't have that much time. It would be best to find the sage's pages before meeting the corpses and then return to the south. After that, he activated the clear and pure heart as he held the jade pendant of fortune in his hand. For a moment, he felt a chill all over his body, followed by a coolness rising straight to the top of his head. That kind of clarity made him feel like he could solve all the problems of the world. Inspiration struck him. It showed him insight into his cultivation issues. Jiang Hao began to understand all realms. Such opportunities were rare and much more important than digesting the divine soul of the Holy Master. Jiang Hao felt like he was moving, and a faint purple mist appeared. His understanding of the realms was much deeper than before. Hong Yuye watched Jiang Hao as he drank his tea. For a moment, the surroundings were too quiet. He heard birds chirping. As time passed, Baizhu was confused. She looked at the jade pendant of fortune. This helped her cultivate better, but it didn't help her curses become stronger. However, the possibility of her curses succeeding was higher, and it cost her much less energy. Such a treasure is too terrifying. Unfortunately, it's like a curse. Such a powerful thing had ended up in her hands. She knew it was related to her fiery luck. This thing could kill people. Chu Jie smiled. This is quite useful, especially for the power of the Great Mountain. This can be used to regulate that violent force. Xiao Yi asked. She had just touched it, and her cultivation started improving instantly. It was simply a divine object. How is it so effective? Although this is extraordinary, it is of no use to me. Or, I can say that I'm better than this, said Chu Jie. That statement would sound smug to other people. But Xiao Yi didn't hear even a hint of ego from her. She just stated it as a fact. Who exactly is this person? Chu Jie held the jade pendant. It seems like we don't have much time. What's wrong? Baizhu didn't sense anything. Her cultivation was much stronger than the person in front of her, but in terms of perception, she still lagged behind. It seems to be related to the ancient pages. I feel a vortex appearing and we are all in it. We can't escape unless the vortex ignores us, said Chu Jie. The ancient pages have appeared, Baizhu exclaimed. Chu Jie sensed it and then pointed to the south. It's in that direction. Baizhu was surprised. That was where the Jinshin heart was. Then, she asked about the other end of the vortex. Chu Jie shook her head. I don't know the details, but it feels completely different. Something is happening. There are immortal sects in the West. They should be able to handle it, right? Baizhu asked. Chu Jie smiled but didn't say anything. Baizhu sighed. The vortex was troublesome. Since it was already there, she had to accept it. On a withered giant stone, a middle-aged man held the jade pendant with a smile. What extraordinary timing. The end of all things indeed knows how to handle things well. They even brought the jade pendant of fortune. Heaven is on my side. He had a bit of stubble, and his body was filled with death aura. The sage's pages are all out. This time, I want to see who comes to snatch it. Gu Jin should be gone by now. Otherwise, the moment I appear, he will have arrived. Who in the West can prevent me from resurrecting myself? He laughed heartily. I need to find something to keep the people from the academy occupied. Chapter 864. A competition of luck in the sea-sky forest. Seawater covered everything. The corpse sea surged and devoured everything. Boom! The corpse sea erupted. A figure was sent flying. Li Sanyuan struggled to get up and spit out a mouthful of blood. He looked down in disbelief. He was even more shocked as he looked around. Everything had become a sea of corpses as far as the eye could see. He had already left the barrier. Why was it still like this? Ivo old people walked out of the corpse sea. Saw it. They were the corpse extinction elders. What have you done? Li Sanyuan asked. The corpse sea had submerged everything. Chapter 865. If one don't go, who will? What's wrong with the sky? It seems a bit dark, Xiao Yi asked. It's not dark enough yet. Chu Jie smiled and said, let's go. We still need to go up the mountain. Bai Zhu nodded. She didn't know what to do, but there was a tremendous force around. Xiao Yi was puzzled. Bai Zhu asked her to find out more about the situation. She flew outside on her sword. She discovered that a great war had broken out in the west. It was nearby. After thinking for a moment, she followed someone there to take a look. At that moment, she felt what true terror was. There was a shimmering light in the sky and continuous explosions. The earth shook and the shock waves swept in all directions. The divine rotation sect is so strong. I heard that some places can't hold them back anymore, someone said. You think too much. I heard there aren't many people here and the divine rotation sect can't hold on for long. What should we do then? How would I know? Let's run away from here. Xiao Yi listened warily. Just as she was about to leave, an aura emanated from the sky. In an instant, a group of scholars flew through the air. Spells flashed around them. They gradually descended. It felt as if 10,000 mountains were exerting their pressure. These people were that powerful. It forced back the army of corpses. The Astronomical Academy is here. People became excited. The immortal sect had taken action. Xiao Yi watched carefully. The people from the immortal sect were so powerful that it was suffocating. Later, she returned to the mountain god village. Bai Zhu just nodded when she told her about the situation. Chu Jie helplessly said, I am not an enemy to those corpses. After that, she continued to stabilize the violent force. The attitudes of these two people puzzled Xiao Yi. Aren't you nervous? Don't you plan to deal with it? Andy Xiao, isn't there an immortal sect for that? If they can't handle it, what can we do? Said Bai Zhu. The corpses could be ignored for now. Other things needed her attention. Meanwhile, Jing Dajiang stood on a high peak and looked at the western land. What should we do? The bearded old man asked. What indeed? Can it be controlled? That person didn't count on these corpse armies for nothing. He wanted to stall the academy. Let him do his thing for now, said Jing Dajiang and smiled. If he succeeds, it means that the jade pendant has been devoured. There are 4 people connected to the vortex. If none of them can stop it, we can make a move. We? The bearded old man frowned. We are not in the vortex. There will be consequences if we take action. The West will be devastated. Jing Dajiang looked into the distance. He appeared calm. Let's have some tea and wait. They don't have much time, and those corpses won't take too long. The 2 old men were somewhat shocked. They understood what Jing Dajiang meant. Around early September, a middle-aged man looked up at the sky from atop a giant rock. At that point, the vortex had already formed. But still, no one came to challenge him. All 3 are avoiding me? Are they forcing my hand? The middle-aged man smiled and looked in the distance. Since that's the case, they'll do as you wish. The middle-aged man opened his hands and resonated with the vortex. The corpse clan merged with the heavens and the earth. At that moment, the fortune tied to him started to surge and sweep across the west. The vortex would guide him to find the other 3 people. He wasn't in a hurry to find them. It would be boring if he found them too soon. He wanted to force the people out. For a while, the death aura covered the entire earth. It intended to assimilate into all living beings. A brilliant aura rose into the sky. Countless scholars in the West recited the teachings of sages to resist the death aura. There were many powerful people from the academy present. At that moment, a majestic voice echoed across the land. The current academy seems to be no longer as formidable as the academy of the past. The middle-aged man smiled. Your efforts, unfortunately, are not enough. The death aura covered everything. Come, I am waiting for you here. Let me see who can share the jade pendant of fortune with me. At that moment, thunder roared. In the mountain god village, Bai Zhu followed Chu Jie up the mountain. Today should be enough. This jade pendant is indeed useful, Chu Jie said with a smile. Bai Zhu nodded. Yes, it is really a good thing. Xiao, he didn't know what they were talking about. The situation outside was very critical. If they didn't escape soon, it would be disastrous. At that moment, thunder roared, followed by a sound only a few people could hear. Chu Jie and Bai Zhu both heard it. Bai Zhu looked at Chu Jie, who continued to walk toward the cave as if she hadn't heard anything. Bai Zhu didn't say anything and just followed quietly. There was nowhere for her to go. She could only follow the person in front of her. Chu Jie went about her daily routine calmly. She was dutiful and meticulous. The power had already spread throughout the cave. If someone discovered and resonated with the power here one day, they would benefit greatly. Xiao, he didn't know what to say. She felt that this young girl was naive and wasteful. In the evening, Chu Jie walked out of the lava. At that point, the power below had stabilized. There is no more violence in that power. Does it feel safe now? Chu Jie asked. I think so. Nothing should go wrong in at least the next 100 years, said Bai Zhu. Chu Jie wiped the sweat from her forehead. Finally, let's go down the mountain. Soon after, the three of them arrived in the village. This time, when Chu Jie bid farewell, the people in the village were reluctant to let them go, but they didn't stop her. After they left the village, Chu Jie said goodbye to Bai Zhu and Xiao Yi and went her own way. She had her own things to do, but suddenly, the colors of the sky and earth changed, and an endless vortex of clouds appeared high in the sky. Dark clouds pressed down on the city. Xiao, he was fearful. Where are you going? Bai Zhu suddenly asked. Chu Jie pointed to the vortex. The timing is just right. I have to go there. Bai Zhu frowned. You're only in the primordial spirit realm. It's dangerous. You might die. I want. Chu Jie smiled and said, I am a Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment practitioner. You're still a human, and humans die? Facing such a powerful force will be dangerous even for you, said Bai Zhu. Chu Jie smiled and shook her head. Don't worry, senior sister. I won't die. I have the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment on my side, she said confidently. Where do you get your confidence? Bai Zhu felt that this young girl was a bit naive. Even someone with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment could die. Chu Jie smiled and turned around. Even so, if I don't do this, who will? Chapter 866. When I obtained the Heavenly Tao, others suffered who will go. Bai Zhu was stunned. She now understood what the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment required. She also realized she could never do that. In moments like these, she would never put herself in danger. Surviving would always be her first priority. Chu Jie was determined. When I received the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment, many suffered because of it. How can I turn a blind eye to their suffering now? If it were just a fight based on the cultivation realm, I wouldn't bother. But since it involves fortune, that's where I come in. It's my strength. I cannot just ignore it and turn away. But you're too weak right now. You don't need to die here, Bai Zhu said seriously. Fear will always be there. When are we ever without fear? Will we stop being scared once we become the strongest in the world? And until then, do we just keep hiding and fleeing? Chu Jie said calmly. Bai Zhu couldn't even respond to that. Chu Jie looked at the sky and then took a step forward. At that moment, the world framed her. A colorful radiance surrounded her, and the Tao chants resonated with her. A bright light soared toward the sky. The vast and majestic fortune began to gather and condense into the form of a great fortune-bearer. Baiju understood why the chef had said she might survive if she followed the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. As long as the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment practitioner remained strong, she wouldn't die. But in the contest of fortune, I can't intervene at all. Even though her fortune was blazing, she still couldn't compare with the one who had the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. Xiao Yi listened to them talk. She found it unbelievable. So, the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment was such a person. She had been too narrow-minded. She was completely unaware of the brilliance of a Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment practitioner. When the light soared toward the sky, many people saw it. In the ancient city, Lu Ying waited with bated breath. It was the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. She's still too weak, but she has no choice. If she doesn't fight, her great fortune won't be able to condense. But it's a pity if she falls like this. A Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment possessing the origin of all fortune is so rare. Lu Ying sighed. The people from the Bright Moon sect may have already arrived. They won't dare to act rashly, but at the last moment, they will definitely take action. At that time, a great battle would inevitably erupt, and the ones to bear the cost in the end would be the people of the West. The old folks from the Astronomical Academy might also take action. On top of a peak, Jing Dajiang and the others saw the radiance and focused their senses on it. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment, the bearded old man was in awe. And there's the origin of great fortune. The Bright Moon sect has found a treasure. It's a pity that she came to the West and got involved in this vortex. Jing Dajiang sighed. If she was careless, it would mean complete annihilation. Boom! Thunder roared. In the sky, two colossal beings collided. At that moment, the middle-aged man on the giant rock frowned. This isn't the fortune of the West. Who is getting involved? Could it be he was surprised? It's the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. When did she appear? She's too young. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to swallow the person in one bite. For a while, the fortunes in the sky were like two giant beasts in battle. A fierce tiger with a deathly aura bit down on the neck of a white bird. The neck of the flying bird was torn apart. The bird screamed as if it was in agony. Then it counterattacked. However, it was useless. The fierce tiger leaped and tore the wings of the bird. It was a one-sided massacre. No matter how severely injured it was, the bird flew up again and attacked. The ones watching sighed sadly. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment was still too young. Baiju frowned. She decided to help Chu Jia. She leaped up. She wanted to participate in the fight with her own fortune. But the fortune vortex pressed down on her. The fortune formed by the jade pendant was shattered. Baiju was shocked. How could this be? In the end, she had no choice but to stop. She looked at the jade pendant of fortune and understood the reason. This jade pendant was not meant for her. It belonged to the person behind her. She could become stronger by using the jade pendant, but she couldn't participate in the struggle within the great vortex. That required the true fortune of the West. Baiju felt regret and relief at the same time. It wasn't easy to gather the courage to act. On another hillside, Jiang Hao opened his eyes. His aura was like an ancient well of the void. It seemed that his every thought and move could cause a ripple in that well. At that moment, Jiang Hao felt that he had reached the pinnacle of control over his power. He wasn't inferior to Su Bai in the slightest. As long as he continued to study the Nameless Manual and the Heaven Lock technique, he could even surpass Su Bai. But he was only thinking of Su Bai as he had seen him years before in the sect. People grew with time. If he had become stronger, others would have too. At that moment, he felt that the jade pendant was guiding a voice from above. It was a deep voice that reverberated everywhere. Jiang Hao was surprised. He looked up and found that a fight had already broken out. A colossal white bird and a majestic tiger clashed. The tiger roared and shook the sky. The bird was no match for the fierce tiger. Jiang Hao saw that the bird's wings had been torn apart. Yet, the bird rose again and attacked. It never gave up. "She's grown so much," said Jiang Hao inside. "It'll be really difficult for Chu Chuan to catch up to her." Those who didn't understand what the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment was would never realize the terrifying extent of its power. I wonder how Chu Chuan is doing. In the south, a group of people attacked a Foundation establishment realm cultivator. They almost overwhelmed him, and blood splattered on the ground. "He's already seriously injured. Just kill him." The man, like a bloodied figure, looked at everyone around him. He held a knife and smiled sinisterly. At that moment, he swung his knife desperately. He couldn't give up. He couldn't die here. Basic knife technique. In an instant, the blade flashed. Each slash was stronger than the last. The nearest person was killed. The blade sent the other one flying backward. He moved forward in large strides. He moved forward in large strides. The more he fought, the stronger he became. His speed was extraordinary. His enemies fell with each slash. The remaining people trembled with fear. They were fearful, but the man wielding the blade was excited. His cultivation rose rapidly. Surprisingly, in such a situation, his skills sharpened. After a short while, the last enemy fell. "Dude, what kind of monster are you?" In his final moment, the middle-aged man looked at the man before him with horror. If only he had known this before, he wouldn't have provoked this young man. The man lowered his head, sheathed his blade, and calmly said, "I want fall here and I want stop. I'm going to the east to establish myself. My blade will cut through mountains and rivers, and my eyes will see the four regions. I will walk a path that no one dares to imagine. No one can stop me. My ultimate goal is to pull down the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment practitioner from her pedestal." At that moment, his body began to glow. Chapter 867. Seeking help from the demoness, thunder roared in all directions. Although many people witnessed the battle in the sky, only very few understood what was happening. Meanwhile, people were concerned about the rising corpse army. They needed to confront it on their own. All major sects would participate in the conflict. No one would have to act alone. Not everyone engaged in a battle against the corpses. Some members of demonic sects took advantage of the chaos. They hid and attacked the sects that were still recuperating from the fight. In that way, they became stronger. Such things were not uncommon, and these individuals were often supported by the end of all things. Who can blame us? Weren't you supposed to help the people in the city? We are also citizens of the city, and now we lack spirit stones. You shouldn't keep the spirit stones to yourselves, a middle-aged man said with a smirk. Behind him stood several experts. In front of him, a young man tried to help some heavily injured people. "It's difficult for you to fight the corpses alone. Give us the spirit stones, and we'll help you keep an eye around," said the middle-aged man. The young man frowned. "Don't give me that look. When we are offering you a way out, you should take it. If we make a move, you'll lose your lives along with your money," said the middle-aged man, and sneered. Some of the injured people could only curse under their breath. They couldn't do anything. They were in danger. In the end, they could only give in. They had tried so hard and fought the corpses, only to be exploited by these people. At least these good people are offering something. Otherwise, things would have been even more difficult, right? Said a voice. A figure appeared in the distance. He walked slowly but appeared near the crowd in an instant. It was a middle-aged man with a few white hairs. His aura was calm and soothing. He looked like a scholar. His arrival made everyone suspicious. No one knew which side this person was on. "Senior, what are you talking about?" the middle-aged man asked. "We only intended to help protect these people without any personal gains." The middle-aged man nodded with a smile. Such a thoughtful gesture. He waved his hand. The word slave flew from his hand and landed on their foreheads. "Then, guard this place for them," the middle-aged man smiled and said. After that, he walked away. The demonic sect members were terrified. The middle-aged man walked along the road and noticed the changes in the sky. But he didn't hurry. He moved at his own pace. After some time, he arrived at a huge mountain. He passed by a village. It appeared to be deserted. He didn't stay there. He walked toward the cliff behind the mountain. It's a pity I didn't arrive early. Now, I have to wait until they finish. The middle-aged man looked up at the sky. After the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment practitioner loses, the people from the Bright Moon sect and the Astronomical Academy will take action. The problems in the West will start from there. I just don't know when it will end, but the sages' pages can appear anytime now. I wonder if anyone will compete with me for them. The middle-aged man looked at the cliff and waited. The battle in the sky was almost coming to an end. The large white bird was exhausted. Even though numerous lights illuminated it, the outcome was clear. Chu Jie might lose because of the vast gap between her strength and her opponents. Jiang Hao watched the sky. He had sensed it. If he went up, he would face the same fate. Even with the identity of Gu Jin, it was of no use. The opponent's identity was real, and their knowledge and methods far surpassed his. With such a huge gap, it would be useless to intervene. The opponent wouldn't lower their cultivation realm to compete with him on an equal footing, after all. So, he couldn't get involved. If they came for him, he would run. He wanted to leave the matters of the West to the West. However, he didn't intend to take the jade pendant with him. Perhaps he could find someone to entrust it to, whether it was the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment or the Xin Yuan sword. He couldn't replace them. He was only there to help them. He knew he couldn't bear such a heavy responsibility, nor could he reach their level. He just wanted to survive and would find ways to do so, no matter how tough it became. He wasn't destined to become a revered figure among the people. However, he wouldn't snatch away the opportunities of these people either. He would always help if he could. The present situation was no exception. As the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment was about to be defeated, Jiang Hao attempted to disrupt the corpse's fortune. He would help create an opening for Chu Jie. But Jiang Hao turned to look at Hong Yuye and hesitated. "Senior, there is something I need your help with." "Sure, as long as you intend to pay the price," said Hong Yuye. Jiang Hao nodded. It seemed like he owed her 3 things for helping him 3 times. Or was it 4 times? He couldn't remember. He didn't care. She could have killed him easily if she intended to. Since she hadn't, he could only assume he was still of some use to her. Otherwise, he would have been dead by now. "What do you want to do?" Hong Yuye asked. "I have to trouble you to retrieve 2 things later, Senior," said Jiang Hao. In the sky, the tiger spoke in human language. "Such a pity. Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment is rarely seen. It's really a shame to kill you like this. But if you don't die, I won't get what I want. So, I have to kill you." The might of the corpse clan emanated. The black vortex revolved as if the entire sky had become the territory of the tiger. Every step expanded the aura and shook the earth. The bird soared high, but it couldn't surpass the tiger. The bird trembled. It wanted to turn around and escape, but it composed itself and prepared to fight again. "Your bravery is commendable, but it's still not enough." The tiger leaped with its claws out. The bird's wings were torn apart again. The claws slashed at its body. The bird screamed in agony. On top of the mountain, Jing Dajiang frowned. He sighed sadly. It seems like that person is not planning to make a move. I don't know why. "Are you going to make a move?" the bearded old man asked. "Yes. Contact the Bright Moon sect and tell them that we must join hands in this fight. Have some people from the academy stand guard. We'll defend as long as it takes," said Jing Dajiang. At that time, they had to do what they needed to do. They couldn't retreat. That would only lead to more deaths. Just when they prepared to go all out, they heard a dragon's roar. A dazzling white light pierced through the black vortex. Chapter 868. There's the dragon is roar, but no sight of a true dragon, a dragon's roar? Jing Dajiang was surprised. Where did the dragon's roar come from? Some people around him heard it too. The middle-aged man at the Jinshin cliff also looked up. Dragon? Are there dragons in the West? Even if there were, why would they appear at this time? Outside the Great Vortex, if the Dragon Clan made a move, it would have a significant impact everywhere. Those who were about to leave, including Mr. Tao, also looked in the distance. A dragon? Tangy was surprised. Many unexpected events were occurring in the west this time, and all of them were beyond his expectations. Mr. Tao had sensed it too. The west was chaotic right now. If they lingered, no one knew what might happen next. However, it was both fortunate and regrettable that they hadn't found the dragon's nest. They felt even more disappointed when they heard the dragon's roar. Could there be real dragons in the dragon's nest? Zhu Shen asked. Mr. Tao shook his head. He was not sure. The current situation was completely out of control. Anything was possible. They didn't dare stay a moment longer and left. It was better to leave as fast as possible at this time. Regardless of the corpse army, the great vortex and the dragons indicated one thing. The west was chaotic and dangerous. It was safest to escape. In front of Mountain God Village, Baizhu looked up at the sky and saw a dazzling light. We can hear the roar, but can't see the dragon. What's going on? They heard the roar, but no real dragon appeared. The radiant light pierced through the great vortex. Jade pendant of fortune. When she saw the white light, Baizhu realized it was a jade pendant similar to the one she had in her hands. Behind the jade pendant were two figures that resembled dragons. They were vague, with a purple pearl at their core. At that moment, the twin dragons broke through everything and rushed toward the center of the great vortex. Baizhu was stunned. She had a bad feeling about it. The black vortex was actually receding. It can't be. On the other side, Lu Ying was filled with anticipation. Then, she was puzzled. At first, she thought Senior Gu had finally taken action, but that didn't seem to be the case. It's Senior Gus' jade pendant, but were the two dragon illusions behind it? This doesn't seem to be Senior Gut's fortune. She couldn't understand. Many people felt it was strange. They could clearly sense that the two dragons weren't real, but cores of power. The fierce tiger hovered in the sky and lowered its head. Afraid to confront me with your true body? However, it felt something was odd about this new fortune. It seems somewhat familiar. Looks a bit like, no, it's different. Anyway, I will crush you. No one can stop me. The fierce tiger took a step forward. Its aura was like tens of thousands of mountains pressing down. At that moment, the twin dragons raised their heads, and a roar echoed. A force blasted into the sky. This sudden scene shocked the fierce tiger. This shouldn't have happened. After that, he dared not hesitate. The vortex rolled up and attempted to tear apart the two dragon illusions. However, the vortex was shredded as soon as it approached the true dragons, and nothing could stop the progress of their fortune. The fierce tiger frowned. If that's the case, it'll wait for you to come in and see what your fortune looks like. The jade pendant broke through the vortex and entered the sky. At the same time, the two dragons flew into the sky. The fortune began to expand. The red true dragon rose higher, then shrank into a ball of crimson light. The light began to expand. The green true dragon didn't soar, but also shrank into a ball. It transformed into a sphere of green light and expanded alongside the red light. The fierce tiger stood still and gazed at the two spheres. It waited for the light to stop expanding. However, the spheres grew larger. It was surprised. Then, its surprise turned into shock. Finally, it looked up at the sky in terror, because from some auras, he finally understood what he was witnessing. Jing Dajiang stood on the peak. He was taken aback by the appearance of the two true dragons. He wanted to know what the twin dragons would evolve into. The more he watched, the more shocked he became. When the transformation ended, Jing Dajiang took a sip of tea. This will lead to the downfall of the West. Lu Ying looked at the sky in shock. Baizhu felt that her life was really troublesome. In the sky, the red star occupied half of the sky, and the green star took up the other half. The entire West seemed to be covered by these two stars. It was like having two suns in the sky. One represented the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. The other represented the earth extreme silent pearl. In front of them, the great vortex exploded. This was just an image of the form of their fortune. If it were their original form, the West would have ceased by now. At that moment, Baizhu felt the terror of the presence of the two ominous pearls. The middle-aged man on the giant stone stood still and looked at the sky. He smiled bitterly. Are people nowadays so crazy strong? I just want to kill a few people, and you guys are about to end the world just to stop me. The heavenly fate misfortune pearl and the earth extreme silent pearl. Truly a grand move. All that just to compete with my fortune? So it's really you, Gujin. The middle-aged man sighed. What have you done? Let be. Am no match for you anyway. His body began to petrify. He fell into a deep slumber. In this life, I will never again compete with others for fortune. With you around, Gujin, I never want to revive again. In the high sky, the fierce tiger accepted defeat. The large bird also fled the scene. The two old corpses were stunned. When the corpse king retreated, no one cared. They wished he would flee faster so he couldn't offend more powerful people. At that time, the powerful people were no longer concerned about the corpses. They were concerned about the two ominous creatures that looked like stars. They were monstrosities. Old Man Corpse stood still for a long time. He was deep in thought. Eventually, he turned and left. The end of all things was excited. They seemed to have reached a consensus to rush into the sky to trigger these two stars. Once successful, it would be literally the end of all things. Chapter 869. Sunrise in the east with purple energy, the appearance of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl and the earth extreme silent pearl exceeded everyone's expectations. It caused panic among the people in the west. However, for those in the end of all things, it was an extremely rare opportunity. They used their most powerful magical treasures and employed secret techniques to enhance their cultivation. All of this was aimed at unleashing the power of these two objects. If the West fell, other places would also be hard-pressed to escape. May the heavens be with us. A middle-aged man rushed to the forefront. He harbored a deep hatred for this world. Those in high positions simply did not care about the lives of ordinary people. In their eyes, as long as they used force, everything could be resolved. They believed that the weak should bow down in the face of the strong. It was useless for the weak to have resentment if they didn't have the means. They couldn't kill or harm others. Weak people's hatred was nothing more than impotent rage. He wanted to make those powerful individuals understand that their resentment and hatred could overturn the entire world. In an instant, the emotions of all those who were part of the end of all things resonated with their emotions. The huge force of their resentment became like a blade that wanted to slash the world to destruction. The strike aimed to break the shackles of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl and the earth extreme silent pearl. Boom! At the moment the blade struck, an old man stood in front of it. A vast force poured down from his entire body. Boom! The blade clashed with the sea of power surrounding him. Even though the emotional blade could cut through half of the sea, it gradually dispersed in the face of the boundless power. Why don't you go find your own enemies instead of coming here to harm innocent people? A bearded old man looked at the people below. People here are united. Find somewhere else to settle your grudge. Why put innocent people in harm's way here? You don't even understand, the middle-aged man roared. Can you even understand the pain we endure? You high-ranking individuals have no idea about the suffering we face. You are a bunch of hypocrites. I don't understand. The old man laughed heartily. You, a bunch of cowards who dare not face your own enemies. Dare say, I don't understand this? When I was 7, my father was beaten to death by a landlord just because he defended a piece of his land. My mother worked tirelessly to support my studies, and when I became a top scholar, she was killed by a cultivator. Fortunately, my master took me away to teach me cultivation. When I reached the foundation establishment realm, I wanted to heal my master's injuries, but a strong individual appeared and claimed my master conspired with demons. He killed my master. After that, they found out they had killed the wrong person. You know what they said to me? They said that my master was destined to be killed like this. Can you even understand the kind of pain I have been through? And what about me? Said the old man. I focused on cultivation. The first person I killed when I became stronger was that landlord. The second man I killed was the cultivator who killed my mother. When I became powerful, I went in search of the person who wrongfully accused my master. He brought along a senior to lecture me on how I should let go of my resentment. I killed him brutally in front of that senior as a joke. At that time, I was already prepared to die. What about you? Despite having people on your side, you don't want to take revenge on those who harmed you, but you want the world to end. Is it because you are too weak to seek revenge or haven't had the chance? Or maybe you are too cowardly to go after the ones who harmed you, and despite having so many people so united, you don't go to seek revenge on your enemies. Instead, you resent this world. Is it because you lack the ability to seek revenge, or you haven't had the chance? Or perhaps you simply dare not go after them and instead want to harm innocents to fuel your ego? Those are all nonsense to confuse the crowd. You just want to stand in the spotlight and have an excuse to kill us, shouted the middle-aged man. The old man with the long beard shook his head and then looked into the distance. There were still many from the end of all things soaring into the sky. None of them were in the Great Vortex. These people seemed to have forgotten the existence of the Academy. A powerful force acted like a barrier and blocked the path to the sky. No one in the west could approach the heavens. Every place had people from the Academy guarding it. Jing Dajiang looked at the sky. He was momentarily unsure of what to do. "Can someone tell me what to do?" said a powerful individual. No amount of planning had prepared them for this. They could only watch helplessly. After a pause, he transmitted his voice across a distance. "Luing, come see me." The chef of the noodle shop hurriedly went to find Jing Dajiang. Soon, she appeared at the peak where Jing Dajiang was located. "Senior," Luing said politely, "can you explain what's going on?" Jing Dajiang asked. "I met Gujin. That jade pendant is supposed to be his, but it's strange. I don't know how the two dangerous pearls appeared." "Senior Gujin?" Jing Dajiang recalled the person he met at the Thousand Springs River. He had said that his surname was Gu. However, he didn't look like Gu Jin. He stopped thinking about it. The identity token had already been sent out. Whether it was someone from the Academy or not, they were now considered part of the Academy. If it really was Senior Gu Jin, he would have to escort him back to the Academy. "Now, tell me how to suppress the manifestation of the aura of fate." Jing Dajiang still needed to deal with the matter first. At present, the true body has not descended into this world. So, as long as we find individuals with special luck, we might be able to suppress this powerful force, Luing said. "Special luck?" Jing Dajiang frowned. "Those with special luck and great fortune have an affinity with the heavenly path. But I haven't met someone like that here for a while," Luing said. Jing Dajiang furrowed his brows. "If I ascend and assist the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment, will it work?" "There's only a 30% success rate," Luing said after thinking for a while. "That will have to be enough." Jing Dajiang instructed someone to bring along the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment to meet him. At that moment, the twin suns in the sky trembled. Luing frowned. Someone is attempting to resonate with the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. It should be someone from the end of all things. It seems they are making a desperate attempt for it. Jing Dajiang no longer hesitated and ascended to the high heavens. "We'll go up first. Hurry up and find the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment." "Senior, once you are tainted by the aura of the misfortune pearl, you will become weaker," Luing said. "So?" Jing Dajiang asked. He approached the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl along with many other powerful individuals. Some were members of the Academy, and some were from major factions. Just as they were about to take action, a light rose from the east. It was a sunrise. However, there was a streak of purple energy accompanying the sunrise. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.